Hey, what's up, Capers?
Capers?
Happy Tuesday,
Capers.
Wednesday, or Thursday.
We've been over this. We do not
Friday.
know which day of the week people are listening to this, but that's okay.
I'm guessing it's Tuesday because they're waiting for this to
The
drop.
fans want it. They
Yes.
want to watch it
Right.
the day it comes out.
It's like
I'm listening
Infinity
to it on
Wars,
Tuesday.
Kate Seed Free, like right there.
Class would be in there too. People are waiting for Class.
You're right.
Well, we are.
There's a couple
but,
people.
you know.
Yeah. Martin the Thought Junkie here. Who else we got?
We got Chad, the resident movie nerd.
We got Chris, the film school dropout.
And Ryan, of course, the collector.
I'm very excited about this film today, guys. We are doing... Dun, dun, dun,
Go
dun.
ahead, Chad. You always announce.
Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yeah.
The first one.
My friend Susie was like, you know, when you guys say, are we going to tell him? Are we going to tell him? She's like, we're watching the thing on YouTube. We know exactly what it is.
Right.
We clicked on it.
It's
so.
labeled, with the title.
Yeah.
But, you know, we got to indulge ourselves.
Of course, we all know that that's a pile of duty / bullshit, the title, but I'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah, no,
Right.
I know what you mean.
I can't wait.
For sure.
I was very...
Comic book wise, but
Yes.
we'll explain.
Okay.
Yes.
Even movie-wise, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
We'll
that's
talk
true.
about that.
We'll talk about the movie. I'll bring
Oh,
the
yeah.
comic portion. We'll bind together into
Yeah.
this beautiful cinematic comic book element of combinations.
It'll be
That's
beautiful.
what we always do. That's
will
what
be
we
beautiful.
It is what
do.
we do.
It's a elegant dance. I don't know.
A kaleidoscope. A kaleidoscope.
What are we drinking here?
Oh, as far as I'm drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And, you know something, it happens to be the beer of the week.
This may be the most perfect
Obvious.
name for a beer we've ever had.
Yes. And the name it's the Marvelous Marzen.
Yep.
And it's
Marvel-OUS. They even separate the word Marvel in the name.
so I think they made it for us.
You know,
Yeah,
we did.
You know what I like about that, by the way? Just really quick to go in. In the early days of Stan Lee, when he was writing comics, he would nickname everybody: the penciler, the inker, the interior, like the cover artist. He would give them like Jack the King Kirby, Walt the something Simon. Like he would give them names.
Right.
I love that. Kind of has that element, marvelous. Like he would have done something like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I like that.
Yeah, by
cool.
Unsung Brewing Company from
it's not
Tustin, California.
Not the first time we've used them as a beer of the week.
Chris, why don't you
Nice.
explain what the beer tastes like?
Oh, let me actually get a taste of it
Because you
right
do
now.
so
I just
sexually
cracked it open, so you don't hear that. But
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
good.
that's-
I like it. I like it.
it's actually really good. It's a Bavarian
Delicious
style
looking
lager.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Like I said, if you've seen the other ones, I'm not a big IPA person. This is more my speed.
Not very hoppy.
No.
Which
Not
we
very
had
hoppy
to
at all.
explain the concept of hoppiness to Ryan last time.
Yeah, I don't drink beer, so I get to live it through their
It's not very hoppy.
experiences.
It says right on here, keep cold, drink fresh, or suffer the wrath of hop half-life.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know hop had a half-life. Does that mean it's like
Yeah.
radioactive or something? I don't know.
I mean,
Maybe we'll be superheroes after
I'm not sure.
this.
Ooh, yeah. It's like
What
getting
kind of
blasted
power we're
with
gonna
gamma
develop?
rays, or I don't know. So then we got the our caper of the week
Who
is
dat?
it is CSCS pressing.
Good job.
Yes.
I
Said
did
it right.
Oh, yeah.
I had to get those 4 letters right. Okay, but Ryan, you can probably let us know more about what they do.
So CS Pressing, otherwise known as Carter and Span, it is a pressing and cleaning service locally here in Los Angeles. I have used them before. They do a great job. They do a great job of getting the dirt kind of residue off your comics, cleaning wise. I've used a lot of people that press and clean comics, and I will say they've done better than others have. So
Do they use spick and spam or something?
they use bleach
Oh.
to ruin your comics.
Don't
No,
use
they
bleach,
don't
people.
use spick and
Do
span.
not use bleach. Katie Free did
Yeah,
not
don't
tell
use
you to
bleach.
use bleach on your comic
But
books.
yeah, great service. Definitely recommend using them. Good price, quick turnaround. They're a solid pressing company. So yeah,
Do they follow us and like
They do.
our posts and stuff? So
Yeah.
thanks
We
for
definitely
the
should.
support.
Thank you.
CSCS. We raise our marvelous Marzen to you.
Marvelous Marzen.
I'm raising my hand, but yes.
All right. Well, what do we got comic wise? Speaking of
Okay.
comics,
I'm excited for
Collector.
this.
So, well, you know what I wanted to bring, but I didn't give the chance to.
We'll save it for a sequel.
We'll save it for maybe another one. We'll see. But so what I have here is Captain America 109.
Ooh, that's a cool
So
big cover.
It's a cool cover. You have Captain America bashing out of a newspaper, or essentially front page, and he's very well drawn. It's the origin retold, as you can see. It says in the little blue label on the front of the comic. So what's cool about it is, you just you get the origin again. It's not a particularly key comic per se, but the reason it does sell for a little more is because it does have the origin retold, and it's a very cool cover, and it just kind of looks fun and unique. I'll just open it really quick.
Oh, we can touch this one.
Oh, whoa,
No, you can't touch it. So this is from this is right around 1969. This is 1969.
Okay. I see StanLee and JackKirby's names.
Smells like old paper, and
Nice.
it's just cool. It's like you get the old kind of Captain America stuff still, and some ads.
I love the old ads where you have to mail in.
Well, here you go. This is part of the original origin where you get the small Steve.
Oh, Skinny Steve.
Yeah, Skinny Steve. You go to the doctor, and you're gonna see.
He's much more blonde in the comics than he ends up being.
And you're gonna see something interesting. So this is where he gets big. But hold on. Here comes the infamous scene in the movie. If I can find it.
I see some swastikas and Nazi stuff in there.
Yep. So he's going to take the serum.
Whoa.
Now he's big, right? Now he's big. We get the serum right here. Do you remember when he holds the actor? I can't remember.
He holds the
Stanley
doctor.
He holds the doctor in the comics too.
Not Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci, yeah.
Yeah, Tucci.
But so that's a part of the comic, and
that's awesome. How much does that one go for?
I only bought it for $75 in this condition.
Oh,
but
that's not bad.
in high grade,
That actually looks really good.
That condition looks great.
Yeah, that's not high grade.
No,
it's okay.
It looks perfect to me. I don't know. This is why I don't have an eye base.
It has a little bit of tanning on the spine, and it has some spine wear also. And
CS Pressing can take care of that.
CS Pressing.
Oh, look at this.
It's got a little bit
the
of
date of the newspaper he's busting out of is Monday, December 8th, 1941, the day after Pearl Harbor.
That is true.
So
and there's
the U.S. had just entered. That was like the date U.S. pretty much entered World War II.
Yeah, what was it? April? I think Pearl Harbor was April.
No,
right?
it was December 7th, 1941.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
You're
This
right.
is the day after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Okay.
2 days after my birthday.
Right.
So, what year did that book come out?
60. What'd you say?
69.
69.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So we'll get more into the years he debuted and everything while we're watching this.
Yeah,
Right?
and I'll get more into how the comics played out as far as various aspects of that. But yeah, no. So, and then just to really quick say, I guess issue 100 was the sort of revamping what's called the big premiere issue, getting him back into the comic book universe with his own official comic book.
Very cool.
So this is part of that newer series essentially.
Yeah, that's a cool one. That's awesome.
Nice, dude.
All right.
I'm all about that.
So I think
that got me much more excited about the film.
Yeah.
I was excited already.
Of course.
It's probably my least favorite Captain America out of all of them.
right, because they just get better and better. But this is, I'm
I love this one.
excited to rewatch this one. It's been a few years. It's a well done, just solid movie. Yeah, maybe it's not. It doesn't compare to like how big the MCU kind of gets after, maybe, but it was really good for setting the foundation for this character. And I gotta say, I think Captain America is my favorite MCU character
for sure,
because of how good because of how good Winter Soldier and Civil War, and I love his decade-spanning story and his friendship with Bucky. Like, I love that stuff. I love every time like him and Bucky are like, we were 100 years old, pal. Like, I love that stuff.
His innocence and
I love
kind of naivete.
Right. He's very set in his
But I
ways
think
and
when you see the old comic, it kind of puts the movie in a bit of perspective, like seeing that element of it, that stuff happened in there.
Yeah.
It's based off, as Chris knows too, because that comic book background as well. It's based off that kind of traditional element to it of it's from the source material. So
Yeah.
they didn't bastardize it as some movies do.
Awesome.
Right.
All right, we ready
Let's get
to
into this.
get started on this?
Yes.
All right.
All right, if you're watching along, we're gonna start playing in 3, 2, 1.
Play it.
Go.
Captain America: The First Avenger, released in July 2011. So this came out. 2.5 months after Thor, actually. So those are the two MCU movies in that
I gotta
year.
say, I mean, it's so weird because this felt like an actual comic book movie.
Yeah.
Thor didn't to me for some reason. Nothing from Iron Man on, or for Iron Man to this is the first time I felt like I was watching a comic book movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Interesting.
really weird.
Huh.
You would think Thor, right?
I mean, they also like comic book movies. Well,
Well,
Iron Man,
Thor
you
felt
could
more
justify
fantasy
maybe, but-
kind of movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
fantasy-ish.
But yeah,
Fantasy,
Thor, but
so.
I guess I see a little bit of what you're saying. There's kind of a fantastic element to it, a little more comic
This
book.
was the I know we talk about the studio stuff all the time. This was actually I think this was the last movie actually produced by Paramount in collaboration with Marvel Studios. Because then after this, Paramount still put their logo before like Iron Man 3 and the Avengers, but they're actually produced by Disney. So I guess that deal is coming to an end.
So we're starting off here in the
future.
snow.
It's the future, it's current time, right?
But for people who
Modern
were like just
day.
getting onto the Easter egg things, they understood that his shield was in Hulk, right?
Oh, that was cut. That was a cut scene. That was a
cut.
deleted scene from the Incredible Hulk. That Norton
Right.
one was that when he went to commit suicide in the Arctic or Antarctic, wherever,
Correct.
you would see the frozen shield, but they cut that out. So
Right.
actually,
But people who still
Yeah.
saw it, it was cool because you start off here.
I gotta say, I love movies that start out with people discovering something in a remote location. Like Close Encounters of the Third Kind does that when they find the plains in the
National
desert.
Treasure.
Alien
I don't know.
Predator.
Just like you're just like discovering stuff that's been hidden for like I don't know, a really long time. I love stuff like that. And
that's cool.
So, and I knew almost nothing. Like we talk about this every time. I knew nothing about this character. I'd heard of him before I saw this, so like I didn't know what was
By the
going
way,
on.
I wouldn't quite say
great.
suicide. It's more sacrificing himself. Suicide
Hulk?
seems... No.
Oh no! I was talking about Hulk, in the deleted scene in Hulk was where Banner was going to go commit suicide.
Oh, God. I thought you were talking about Captain
No.
America. Okay,
That's not what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to kill himself and then.
Fun little
came
thing.
out.
When big movies like this are filming, they always go by a secret code name. So it's more secretive, and the public doesn't exactly know what's going on. But so the working title for this while they're filming it was called Frostbite, which I think was great because Captain America is frozen in ice for.
Oh wow!
Now in the original, we'll get into this more, but in the original comics, when he debuted in the 60s or something, Captain America was he was only supposed to have been, when he was reintroduced, we'll get into that, he was only frozen in the ice for about 15-20 years after World War II. But now, obviously, when this movie was released in 2011, you had to make him frozen for like 70 years or something. So.
Does anyone know when his first comic debuted from Captain America Comics #1?
1941. Sorry.
I will say
Damn
no.
it, Chad!
Sorry, when you asked.
Let the
I
other
read
people
things.
have researched
Okay.
it.
Let the non-nerds get this.
All right,
okay?
go ahead.
My
Sorry.
answer would have been no. I did not know. So
That is correct. March 1941. I believe they were actually working on it in the late 40s.
That's like during World War II. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, it was 1939. World War II started. They were working on it in 1940. So Hitler was already a douchebag by then. Yeah. So him punching Hitler in the face made complete sense.
So
maybe best comic cover ever.
They needed.
It's up there.
They needed Captain America to come back, right?
Yep.
In order, that's why they came.
Well,
back
no,
after
they
15 years.
started him. They started him in 1941. He didn't come back. That was his first time ever.
Well, so you said it was 15 years before.
Well, we'll talk about that. That comes later. But yes, correct. He gets a kind of
Rebooted quicker.
Eventually. But it sold 1 million copies when that came out. It was very successful.
What is that? That's like that
pretty
Red
impressive.
Dawn video game that came out this weekend. It's like that version of that.
But
we have what's his name? David Bradley here, who's on the Strain. He's in Game of Thrones and Harry Potter movies. I forgot he was in this.
But interestingly enough, I was going to just say when the comic book did come out, there actually was a lot of hate towards it. Believe it or not, towards Captain America, the character. A lot of people did not like what the character stood for.
Interesting.
Because there was a lot of kind of pro sentiment towards Germany at the time too. Surprisingly, but
Interesting.
Okay, so he debuted in 41. Was that it wasn't Marvel Comics back then,
it was not.
right?
It was Timely Comics, which is the predecessor to Marvel, which came obviously later in the early 60s.
And then resurrected by StanLee and JackKirby in the 60s.
Correct.
And then he got launched from them. And StanLee was the one who he introduced a lot of the modern elements, like the throwing of the shield and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So Captain America Comics ended in 1950. They brought it back in 1953 for a few issues. And issue number 78 was the last official issue of the series. Then they brought him back in the Silver Age, and the first appearance in Avengers number 4. So 4 issues into Avengers, they're like, well, here's the interesting part of it. They actually teased Captain America in a comic called Strange Tales 114, which was 4 appearances after the first appearance of Doctor Strange, which is Strange Tales 110, for whatever reason they did in that series. But at the end of the comic, there was like a kind of quip by Stan Lee saying, did you like seeing Captain America again? Would you want him back? Because it was not really Captain America. It wasn't Steve Rogers. It was a fake. It was a character named Acrobat pretending to be Steve Rogers.
Oh, okay.
So with that popularity from that comic, they brought him back in Avengers 4. So.
Nice.
Dude, it's so
Very
crazy
cool.
to think how popular comics were. I mean, they're popular now because of the financial gain, but back then they were popular just because of the appeal.
Yeah.
People loved comics.
Kids' fantasy.
Yeah.
It was a unique story because there wasn't internet, there wasn't any of that back then. So people go see movies. It was a spectacle. People would read these comic books. This was cartoon. I mean, there was cartoons too, but
yeah. Nowadays, you get like a kind of digital code on the back of your comic to do something or download something. Back then, you'd cut out a little ad from the comic and send it in the mail, and you get like your little toy.
So Ryan, the original creator of Captain America was
Joe Simon, who wrote it, and Jack Kirby, who did the art.
You know what's actually interesting is Joe Simon lived until he created that character in 1941. He lived till December 2011. So he was alive when this movie came out in July 2011. He died at age 98. He was actually approached to do a cameo in this movie. It didn't happen. I mean, obviously he was already like 97,
I never had
the
pleasure of meeting him, but
pretty crazy.
There's quite a bit of early Captain America comic books signed by him and graded by CGC that you can get, which is cool. But
do you have any?
I don't know. I've never owned his signature on anything, but it's not too difficult to obtain, but it's not easy. Yeah.
So just to catch up where we're at right now we're in 1942 in I forget what country we're in. this Germany or Austria, I don't know where.
Somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere. So now we have well, he's not Red Skull quite yet.
We have Agent Smith.
We have Hugo Weaving in this church getting the Tesseract.
Right.
Now, how did the Tesseract
the Cosmic Cube, if you will, but yes,
right.
Tesseract
Now it got to Earth because the Asgardians brought it to Earth like centuries beforehand.
Right, to essentially hide it. But here's so we do have Red Skull essentially right now, even though he's not currently looking like Red Skull.
Yeah.
He's wearing a fake. Is he?
He's wearing a fake.
He's
mask.
already been transformed, but he's wearing a fake human mask.
He's used the secret serum, the super serum, and it turned him into that evil monster. So his first appearance was actually in, take a guess.
Tales of the Strange Tales.
Tales of the
Captain America Comics #1.
Okay, well there we go. So right away,
he's the main enemy.
He was a villain right away. Yeah.
He's
like the Joker.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Captain America.
But like Captain America, he did obviously die out with the comic when it died out in '54, and then he was revamped into a comic later in Tales of Suspense. So you were partially right. He did come back later in a.
It's our first Hydra kind of. We're seeing all the Hydra pins.
Well, we actually saw the car drove up and they had a big.
Right, but I mean, like in the MCU, like this is the first time we're really seeing.
Yeah, in fact, this is where Hydra pretty much comes from. I mean, their origin in the comics come from the Captain America story.
Here's Skinny Steve we're seeing for the first time.
Well, I did want to just point out, so the Cosmic Cube, that actually doesn't come along until 1966 with Tales of Suspense 79. So they adapted something that came way later in the comics, early into what would have been the early Captain America comics in the 40s storyline, but it kind of makes sense because of the direction they were going in the movie. So I get it.
It's just crazy that I didn't know anything about the Infinity Stones. I didn't know this was going to be the power. This is the power. What's in this?
This is the Tesseract.
Yeah, but which stone is it? Is it the Power Stone?
No, not the.
No.
Yeah, is
the
it
Mind Stone?
No, Mind Stone is on the.
No, it's the Space Stone. This has a Space Stone.
Space Stone.
Okay. I didn't know anything about that at the time, so just knowing the significance it was going to play 7 years later.
No, the
in
Power
Infinity
Stone was
War.
the orb in Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Mind Stone was the scepter. So,
it just felt like this weird, abstract thing that they wanted,
yes.
and it was just like, okay, whatever. But movies later, it's like something that's
right.
tangible.
Every movie has what they called it a MacGuffin, is kind of the general term that's been used for decades about like the object that's the center of it. It was famous in like Indiana Jones. You have the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the stuff like that. The one object they're looking for, and there's a lot of movies centered around one object. That's what a lot of these Marvel movies seemed like going forward, but then they actually all tied in. Like even the random stuff like the ether in Thor: The Dark World turned out to be one of the Infinity stuff, tied to Infinity,
crazy.
like all that crazy stuff. Like
so right now we're in that movie scene where Steve's standing up for everyone in the movie theater because this obnoxious guy who's saying stupid stuff that's annoying. And I have to say they really embodied the character perfectly from the comics.
Trash can lid, kind of like the Shield. He's such a wholesome. I don't know. He's so good.
Yeah, I mean the phrase that he uses later on in most of the movies, "I can do this all day," is birthed right here in this first movie. So.
There's probably times I tell that to myself.
I would think
when I'm like, fuck, I can do this all day though. Then you do it. Like, do you? Okay, so my question is Steve Rogers' character more? Is there a little bit of element of being harmful as a male? You know what I mean? Like to be that stubborn and to just never quit even when you know you should. There's like a little bit of that, but then there's a little bit of that perseverance and always standing up for the right thing. And
are you saying is there a weakness to it, or is it more only a strength?
Or are you trying to say that like showing this it's kind of showing that it makes males? I mean, look.
Well, I think there's a negative and a positive to Steve Rogers' character as this little guy here. You know
I think being determined. Well, I mean, okay, so this character debuted in we said during World War II.
Yeah.
Correct,
This was like the U.S. wasn't a superpower yet at that point. We were fighting these these big threats and stuff, and like it was all. You can almost say this is all. Captain America was birthed from like the big U.S. propaganda machine during World War II, which is all the like Rosie the Riveter and like bye Uncle Sam and all this stuff, and it's kind of cool. It's still carrying on to this day.
When Joe Simon created him originally, he wanted to call him Super America. But he realized there were so many characters already called Super, they're like, let's mix it up, and there wasn't many captains. That's why they called him Captain America. But he fought the Axis powers from day one of his comic, so he was definitely part of the propaganda machine.
I do want to say, because we're in the scene now where they're at the World Fair,
Stark Expo,
which is the Stark Expo, which is what Iron Man 2.
We see Tony do that 70 years later. Yeah, it's pretty great.
So you see it in Iron Man 2, and then you come back and you see the actual original one that he was talking about.
Pretty cool.
I think Bucky has a line. He says, like, we're going to the future, pal. Like, who knew they actually would be, 70 years later, still alive in the future? And I didn't know Bucky. I had no idea about Bucky's future, the significance Bucky was going to play, obviously, as the Winter Soldier. And here we have Dominic Cooper as young Howard Stark.
A little bit more brass than his son. He kissed that girl. Tony Stark would have never done that.
No.
It's a different time. It's a different time. Hey, little PC.
So it's pretty cool. We got, and Dominic Cooper, we know, along with Haley Atwell, who we'll see in a little bit as Agent Carter, ended up being on the Agent Carter show and continuing this character, because he doesn't appear in any other MCU films, but he continued it on the show. Here we have a little preview of Stark flying technology. In the flying car, we know from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson has his flying red car and everything, so it's...
Does it look like
a
that?
Classic.
No, it's a little more modern than that, but it's kind of setting the future for all these technologies we'll see in the MCU going forward.
What's interesting is they make Steve more like the sidekick to Bucky in the beginning of the movie.
True.
Obviously, that's not the way it was in the comics. Bucky was the sidekick to Captain America. So it's interesting that they went that route, but it makes sense.
Now, I was going to say, so as we're watching Skinny Steve, they actually had to film each shot with Skinny Steve. I mean, this sounds like this is part of the joy of filmmaking. Had to film each shot 4 times with Skinny Steve. They filmed it once with regular Chris Evans in it, once without Chris Evans, just completely empty. They had to film it once with Chris Evans against a green screen, and then they filmed it once with a body double. And you combine all those elements. Wow. Most of the shots where he's moving and walking are actually Chris Evans shrunk down. And they, so they're adding him into the shot. Yeah. They only, they did some head replacement, face replacement in shots where he's, sitting down or laying down. Yeah. But yeah, it's just crazy, the visual effects. I was blown away, because I was not that familiar with Chris Evans before I saw this movie. Oh. And, it's, for 2011, this actually works really well. Yeah. And you have to adjust eye lines. Chris Evans had to look at dots up on people's foreheads, so he's looking up enough, and the actors had to be looking further down than his eye line, like dots on Chris Evans' chin, so they're looking lower.
Dude, it's hard enough.
Crazy.
It's hard enough to remember eye lines just with a normal film.
I know,
it's CGI.
It's crazy. So this is the visual effects are really good in this. This actually had a budget of $140 million. Would you think launching a brand new character, that's actually a big budget for a movie. Marvel was gaining some confidence at this point after a couple Iron Man movies, after launching a few properties and stuff. And this opened to $65 million, which is the exact same that Thor opened to a little bit earlier, and it grossed about $370 worldwide. It was a little under $200 million domestic. It's actually only one of 4 MCU films that didn't gross $200 million domestic. Wow. Along with Hulk, Ant-Man, and Thor.
Ones,
but
we weren't hooked yet.
No, not quite. Now, do you know where this ranks all-time grosses in the 20 MCU movies, though?
I'm going to say, out of 20, I'm going to say 16. It's
actually 19. It's only right above Incredible Hulk. Yeah. So, but still, all the Marvel movies have done well, and it's still, like we've mentioned before, all the Marvel movies are fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. This is 79%. It ranks right near the bottom. It's like when you rank all the Rotten Tomatoes ratings, it's 15 out of 20, but it's still, it's still fresh and got positive reviews, and I think it had good reception.
I didn't expect to like Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
just based upon what I saw here.
So good.
I wanted more from this Captain America character. And it sucks because I got so much, all of the stuff that I needed in order to love that character in Civil War and love him in Winter Soldier. It's all started here.
Yeah,
it's you have to be patient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't get you can't get that badass character that you want right away.
No, they really take their time building up the.
The thing is with the origin stories, with this one, obviously, this origin story is set in most of it's set in 1940 or the World War II. So it's a period piece. This is mostly a period piece. So all the colors are muted, everything. So I feel, and so
good point.
I think that actually like adds. It kind of takes away from when you're watching it. When you see like muted colors, when you see that kind of stuff, it kind of brings the mood of the film down. And so because I got a lot of like people would say a lot of what you said, Martin, like. When they watch the movie, they're like, it's not the best one, or I didn't really feel it and didn't get into it. I feel like, it's a period piece, and you're coming to see a superhero movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's and this actually, speaking of period piece, while I was just talking about the box office, this is actually the 4th highest grossing World War II movie. Yeah. You have any guesses?
Behind Saving Private Ryan?
Right, Saving Private Ryan is, I think, is number 1.
Schindler's List?
No.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
And Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk.
Interesting.
So. Now, that's interesting about the period piece thing, because we've talked about Marvel probably had to strategize how to launch the MCU. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you start... I mean, obviously, Thor has scenes that takes place thousands of years, but what you said, they didn't start with that because of the cosmic elements might have been a little hard for people to grasp. Right. Why wouldn't you start with this... Because people sometimes have a hard time with period pieces. That's why Iron Man was modern, it was hip, it was cool. This is a little bit kind of more old-fashioned.
I just realized something interesting. This was the 4th one in, wasn't it? You had Hulk, Iron Man,
Thor all launched.
Well, but Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2
That's where I was getting into also. They called this movie Captain America the First Avenger. He is not even the first one to get a movie, a solo. He's like the 4th one to get a solo movie.
Yeah.
And also, he's not, like in the comics, he's not one of the first Avengers.
And see, I mentioned this in Thor, is that because I always figured that he's the first Avenger since he's the one that like was born first, technically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they kind of said it. But then we talked about Thor being 1,000 years old.
Well, totally. He's the first one we see get recruited.
There's really no first Avenger. They all appear together for the first time in Avengers 1, minus Captain America. But it's interesting that they used Strange Tales 114 to gain what popularity people wanted to bring him back. And they brought him back in the 4th issue, and I never realized until now that it was the 4th movie that they brought him in. So
interesting.
I think there's a hidden intent there.
It's technically the 5th movie because Iron Man 2 came out before this too. But
that's
true. It's the 4th hero. Fourth hero, though.
But I mean, like the first of we see Tony's recruited before they find Captain America in the ice. But I guess because he's tied in with Stark and he's tied in with Hydra, all these things that come to that the Avengers are formed to. You know, the main core of forming the Avengers. Technically, he was part of all that in the 1940s, and then thought lost, and then so I guess I can understand why they call him the first Avenger. They don't know about they don't know about Thor and the Asgardians really before this, except for the ancient cultures that came in. You know,
and I'm not sure who the team leader really would have been from issue 1 to 3. Maybe Tony, most likely. I haven't read those issues, but I know later on, once Cap starts, I mean, he does become the team captain for obvious reasons. He's the most tactical and everything.
Why did Papa Stark never want to become a hero?
Who?
Papa Stark.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
It's a little more narcissistic.
Well, you see that in Agent Carter and stuff.
Yeah,
he's an integral part of, like, with Peggy Carter of forming S.H.I.E.L.D. or the predecessor to S.H.I.E.L.D.
And he propped his business up on technology, but weapons also. So he was kind of the predecessor to what Tony was doing without realizing it for the movie. Well, no, he knew what he was doing. Iron Man 1, he's selling weapons.
So interesting. So Tony Stark craves that attention from his father. He doesn't get it. So what does he do? He becomes that playboy center of attention guy that everyone in the world knows. That's so interesting.
That's what his father was.
Here's our first appearance of Haley Atwell here as Peggy Carter.
So interesting note. Peggy Carter first appeared in Tales of Suspense 77 and 66. She, in her comic, she appears as a flashback having been Captain America's girlfriend in the Golden Age.
Oh.
So we don't know that she's the girlfriend until the 60s, but she was the girlfriend in the Golden Age, even though we didn't see her.
She's established as a badass right here. She just punched a recruit right in the face.
She is a badass, yeah.
No, she's awesome. Like I didn't know Haley Atwell before this. I think she wasn't really well known by American audiences.
She's British. She's British.
No, she's great.
Because he wouldn't have a love interest in the 40s.
No.
It's not what the comics were about. They were about kicking the shit out of the Axis.
But I do love that they carry that I love that in the sequels we see her as an old woman and he visits her and then he goes.
Yeah.
She lives to know that he's still alive when he's rediscovered.
Right.
It's so touching, you know. And then he goes to a funeral, and was that Civil War when he goes to a funeral?
I think it's that was Civil War.
Yeah,
it was Civil War. Yes.
And we got Tommy Lee Jones in this. Tommy Lee Jones in the
looks
MCU.
so
So good.
When does Tommy Lee Jones not look?
Tommy
old,
Lee Jones is always. I just rewatched The Fugitive from 1993 recently. He pretty much looks like this too. He's one of those guys who just is always.
I can't think of many movies where he doesn't. So.
Boot camp looks so hard. I would never make it through boot camp.
My roommate tells me stories about boot
it.
camp. I'm like, how does anyone ever do that?
Ever make it?
Ugh. Right.
Now, doesn't he? Is this the camp he comes back to in Winter Soldier?
Yes, this is the same.
Where he
camp,
trained and everything. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Everything winds up coming back, especially which I think makes it a perfect sequel, Winter Soldier.
And he looks at this flagpole where he grabs the flag and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of we were talking about the period thing. So this was directed by Joe Johnston, who he started his career doing visual effects for Industrial Light and Magic. So he worked on all 3 of the original Star Wars trilogy movies. He actually was part of the Oscar-winning team for visual effects for Raiders of the Lost Ark. But then he became a director, and he directed stuff like all sorts of great movies that I'm sure everybody our age grew up with, including Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji, The Rocketeer, Jurassic Park 3, stuff like that. He did The Wolfman with Benicio del Toro. Right. So he was actually chosen to direct this movie because of the period stuff he had done in movies like The Rocketeer. So that kind of helped. And so I think he did bring a good sense. You know, he has a really good sense for shooting that kind of stuff. So, and it is kind of an old fashioned movie in a few ways, which is kind of great. Like, I love it.
That little bit there was interesting where he pulled the pin so that the flag can drop.
Yeah,
that's not him though. Later on in the future, that's not necessarily him. The him that we know, he like uses his like strength and just like
he does kind of change a little bit. He's smarter now, and he still retains that. But in the movie, they do make him a little kind of goofier.
The thing is, the whole point of like this is to show that he's more than just muscle. He's more than strength. He actually like wants to help, and he tries to think. Mm-hmm. And when you go to Avengers, he does start strategizing how to fight the aliens when they come through.
Right.
He's the one of like listen. He's the one like trying to give orders out to the cops and stuff like that. So it's not just like the Hulk where he's just going to punching.
Right.
He actually does think some too.
That's right.
So it was. I think that scene, which I thought was great when I saw it first. It's just the whole difference between just being super strong and then,
it personifies.
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is not like would not be allowed by the
Oh no!
This like watching this as a kid, like this brings me back to like one of my earliest visions of like cinema, my earliest feeling of emotion. I think I was watching one of the.
I thought you were talking about this movie. I was like, this is only 7 years ago. You know?
No, one of the Chucky films. I think it was a horror film where a grenade was thrown, and one of the kids jumps onto the grenade and like blows up on him, and he sacrifices himself. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old.
I remember that one. Yeah.
I was like, holy crap! Like, what is this? So every time I see that, it just brings me back to that moment.
And we were talking about the directors too. So Favreau was originally going to do this movie, and then he chose to do Iron Man instead. And then he ended up doing Iron Man 1 and 2. And actually, Louis Leterrier, who did Incredible Hulk, offered to direct this, but they turned him down. And so they ended up going with Joe Johnston, who I think was a great person to kind of kick this off. So.
That scene was obviously the perfect setup for later in the movie what he does. But I mean, I think they do a good job in this movie of building his persona and what he stands for and how it pertains to actions that he takes part in later in the movie, which I love that they do that. They really set up the character well.
We've seen this character grow as a kid, man. Like as a what is he here? Like what, 18 maybe?
Probably
like 19? I said, I love when they reference the old, like in the future movies when he's like, you used to put newspapers in your shoes and stuff like that. You know, I just love stuff like that. You bring it back to like the old, like it's almost like just to think of having. Not many people get to live as long and have a friend that they've known for literally like 70 or 80 years. You have to live to be a really... Obviously, Bucky and Steve have gone through some, kind of physical stuff that real people wouldn't go through to be able to last that long. But I mean, not many people get to have people they can say they've been friends with for 80 years, 70 years.
That's true.
And stuff, and being able to reminisce about all that, it's touching to me. It like really is just like it's one of my favorite cinematic friendships.
Yeah.
I think. Like, I am so afraid that... I was so afraid during, like, Infinity War that, like, Bucky or one of them was going to get killed. I mean, well, we know what happened to Bucky at the end of Infinity War, and when he's, like, Steve, and then that's, like, heartbreak.
The first
like,
thing
I'm so afraid, like, I don't know, like, I don't want... I'm afraid something's going to happen. Or when they go to that bunker in, was it Civil War? And they're before they find the other super soldiers, and they're reminiscing about like, oh, we've been around for 100 years and stuff, and they're reminiscing about their past. Like, I was so afraid they were gonna reminisce one last time, and then like Tony was gonna like killing Bucky, and I was like, no, I was like, oh my god, this like, I can't handle it. So I don't know. So hopefully we know Bucky will come back even after Infinity War in some capacity.
Do we though?
I don't know.
Do we?
We don't know. We don't know. We're a few months out from the release of that.
Well,
of the next
they're
movie.
talking about the streaming service with him and
Bucky will be back.
They just announced he's going to be doing some limited series for the Disney streaming service next year. So that's going to be awesome.
Which will be interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's so crazy. We talk about friendship. Like, you saw Bucky and Winter Soldier's friendship was like become like something really
Bucky
cool.
And the Winter Soldier.
Bucky and what's his face
Steve.
and Falcon.
Oh, Falcon.
Their relationship happened so quickly, just in the back of that car. Was it Civil War? Was it?
I think it was Winter Soldier.
Or no?
No, it was.
Winter Soldier. You're right.
Oh,
they were in the back of the car and Steve Rogers
that was
kisses.
Civil War. That wasn't Winter Soldier.
Was it?
Yeah, Civil War, 100%.
Whatever.
I know what you mean when they're in the back of the car and Steve.
Oh yeah, that's Civil War.
Can you move your seat up? No.
He is not a good person in the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So good. Yeah, that
I remember they just got them fighting each other. So
let's talk about those scenes maybe later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
So don't get too far ahead.
Tucci's so good too. Stanley Tucci is great and everything.
They're about to have cheers because he's about to take the
So
experiment.
he just gave a little background on Red Skull. Now, what's Red Skull's? It's like, do you know Red Skull's real name? It's like Johann
Schmidt.
Johann Schmidt, kind of one of.
That sounds like a.
I think that's basically like
Schmidt.
German for John Smith.
Oh, it probably is actually.
You got and then Toby Jones, as what's his character's name? You know, whatever, the sidekick.
It's the Red Skull without his mask on.
We know he comes back later as a computer, so he's always great and stuff too.
Well, the Red Skull that we get in this movie is more of the Silver Age version. The one that from the Golden Age really is like a Red Skull. It's much different.
Is there a Bronze Age too?
A Bronze Age of Red Skull?
Comics, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a bronze, right?
Yeah.
Gold,
Age,
silver, bronze.
Gold and silver, bronze.
Where do they go
copper,
after
modern.
bronze? Copper. Oh, okay.
Well, copper is kind of not.
So is that inferring that the comics get worse as it goes on because it's less valuable metals?
It's
I don't know.
The intent is that it's a different era. It's a shipping era.
Gotcha.
That's all it is. That's all it represents. Yeah.
So we haven't gotten the full reveal. He's of Red Skull yet. He's kind of silhouetted here.
Yeah.
Is he going to step into the light? So I guess Hugo Weaving had to go through. He was not crazy. He took this role, but like it was a lot of time and energy spent in that makeup. That's why he wasn't crazy about it. And he's kind of so-so about this role. Obviously we know him from other movies like all the Lord of the Rings movies and the Matrix movies. That's why he did not come back for Infinity War. Yeah. And that's why Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead, who is a very gifted impressionist, could do a Hugo Weaving impression and came back to play that role in Infinity War. And we'll talk about that later when it happens to Red Skull. But that's, that was crazy that he came back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these colors, man, you're right.
Yeah, this is great. This is like more 1940s Brooklyn right now. This is great.
Is that a lot? That's
a lot.
Well, they filmed this movie in... they did dress up some streets in England. So they'd filmed this in England, and also the sets where a lot of it was at when Marvel was still shooting stuff down at their Manhattan Beach studios. They were still shooting stuff in the LA area at this time before like we said before they moved everything to Atlanta. Yeah. But it was kind of so they did do some England stuff.
God, I hate that I wasn't in LA when this stuff was shooting.
I was, but I didn't. I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't know where. We didn't know much about it at the time.
I had a chance to actually work on this movie, and I didn't want to.
What?
To do what?
You get out of this house right now. You get out.
God,
that would have been so cool.
I mean, I didn't get it. I didn't get to turn it down. I didn't turn it down or anything. I just didn't want it. But But I had a friend of mine who was actually working on it. He was like looking for people, and he mentioned me. So I was like, oh, well, I could be up for it. But then I was like, wow, I don't know if I want the movie ruined for me.
Yeah, this
doesn't matter. I didn't get picked, so I didn't have to make the choice.
No, but I mean, I love the set dressing, just the 40s stuff. I love the period stuff. But
yeah, they say if you're a first-time director, they don't like first-time directors to direct period pieces.
No, well, Joe Johnston was really experienced by this point, but
but it makes sense.
So this is actually. Do you know how many Captain America movies have been made before
2?
This movie? No.
It was
17.
One. Wait a second. 1. All right, 2. It wasn't 2.
No, there were 4 Captain America movies made before this. Not all theatrical. There was a serial in the 1940s, kind of pretty soon after he debuted.
Right.
There was a TV movie in the 70s, I believe, and then there was a sequel to that TV movie. And then there was the 1990 Captain America movie that I think was only released theatrically in England.
It was very cheesy.
Didn't even make it to the United States in theaters.
So how many theatrical were there?
I think just one. Well, the 1940s serial probably was in theaters. That was pre-television. So
2.
Yeah. So
Two
I mean,
right. Good job, guys.
2.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, this is the 5th time.
This is the first time to get it right.
He had been filmed for the screen,
Right.
kind of. So
yeah.
Yep. And this movie, like a lot of the Marvel properties we talked about, this was something they had tried to get off the ground in the 90s, and starting in 97, a lot of different iterations. It was almost going to be financed around the year 2000 by Artisan Entertainment, who just did The Punisher that we just just talked about Artisan during The Punisher when because Marvel had a deal with them to do that movie.
Yeah.
It all ended up coming together as part of the MCU, so.
Yeah. So, do you think that in this scene right now, he's walking with Haley Atwell, Agent Carter? People admire they admire him, but do you think she finds him attractive at all yet?
I think no, not yet. Not until he steps out of this pod with his.
Agent Carter was a little deeper. Okay, cool, we're good. But the. It's a great scene.
About to sign up for the experiment here.
Well, he's already been chosen.
He's gonna get in the pod.
But the threat outside is that
I don't think she finds him attractive yet. I think she respects a lot.
Right.
Of him.
Well, but I mean, once he steps out with those abs and that six pack,
it's like
then
the total package.
Forget it.
Women, I swear.
Now, so the serum affects him in a positive way. Now, we said so. Red Skull became Red Skull because of the effects of the serum, which is kind of what happened to the Abomination in the Incredible Hulk.
Yes,
it was the same kind of serum.
It's not the effects of the serum; it's the effects of the person.
Right. So you have to be if you're a bad person, you'll get mutated like Red Skull or Abomination. But if you're a good person.
Yeah, and it's not. I would say it's not so much your emotions. Like, oh, you're a bad person. It's something in your soul and your inherent self.
Right.
It enhances. Yes, I mean.
Yeah, and if I guess it would affect your like brain chemistry too. So you have to if you're already a little off in the first place, it's going to intensify it.
Right. Yeah.
This guy,
100%.
he was super good as a kid, and so that just intensifies.
And that's what he saw. That's what the doctor saw, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, had he given it to one of the dime a dozen soldiers, would it have made them bad? Not necessarily, but I don't know. It's tough to say.
My man, a little more
now,
egotistical.
We don't really learn until Civil War that there were multiple super soldiers created, but that didn't happen after this point, right? The ones that we find,
but they mentioned the fact that they've been doing this,
right?
They've been experimenting in this.
But those people were all turned out as like crazy assassins and stuff too. Like nobody was as good-hearted as
they were crazy. Already.
See, you had to establish Steve Rogers as such a good-hearted, selfless,
person. To make him unique. So it's not like you just give the guy some superpowers and then he's going to be good.
Now the serum was developed by Stanley Tucci's character. Did Stark just develop the kind of the machinery that they're using?
Yeah.
Right?
No. Yeah,
it's a collaboration.
The doctor created the serum, who gave it to Johann Schmidt. But yes, it was. I mean, he had already applied it. I don't know if this extra technological element is what maybe he needed to really make it work perfectly, but.
Well, they've been experimenting with
Stark.
it.
Like we said, the MCU
is the first time
Stark. It's all the Starks. So they're the whole basis of the MCU in a lot of ways.
So you technically needed to see Tony Stark before we saw his father.
I guess that's true. You start to, and then you saw his father older in Iron Man 2, right? Which we saw John Slattery playing him in that.
John Slattery.
Now you go back even more.
And the thing is, he would talk about the history of his father.
Yeah.
Just like we saw the World Fair. He would talk about that history, and then we could
It almost is better seeing the flashback rather than going linear. Yeah, man, they're smart. Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
Got this figured out.
He got
this figured out. That's great.
I just love watching Peggy swoon when he gets out of there. That's my favorite scene when she swoons.
Probably
Peggy Carter don't swoon, but she swoons.
Maybe not much acting required. She.
To her, it's hard to find a good man with abs too. All right.
It was really fun watching Agent Carter for, what was that, 2 or 3 seasons?
Two
just
seasons.
with these characters.
It was 2 seasons, yeah.
Stark and Peggy Carter. And
I enjoyed it.
yeah. Just seeing more of their adventures in the 1940s. Like, it was great. You should check it out.
What's very impressive to me is
it's like this, right?
Here. In these movies, the time and the effort these actors put in to create the bodies that they have sometimes. Like Chris, what's his name?
Evans?
Chris Evans.
Yes.
He was already in pretty good shape.
Oh, yeah.
From, Fantastic
Oh, yeah.
Four, but he wasn't this built up for the... I mean, he clearly put on some solid muscle.
Yeah, speaking of that, so he had played a superhero before. He was Johnny Storm /
many superheroes
Human
before.
Torch in the
Human
2
Torch.
Fantastic Four
Yes.
movies before this. So he's part of the Marvel, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but part of Marvel
Fox
movies.
Marvel. His
Yeah,
Fox Marvel.
and at this point in time, he was probably the most versed person in superhero.
Right. What other ones?
all together?
He was in a bunch of other ones, right?
Scott Pilgrim.
Right, that's what I knew.
The
I
Losers.
only knew him from Scott Pilgrim, where he played Lucas, whatever the big movie star was in that. Oh, here was the debut. Of course, the abs are all shiny and oiled up.
Biceps.
Now, how come his
It's
pants,
a brand new.
his pants stretch like Hulk? He's wearing the same pants, and they fit him.
Well, his pants is a little bigger, but he has a belt on, and that belt should have.
It just should have come out.
So, Chris Evans, speaking of his previous, superhero roles in Fantastic Four, he originally he was like the choice they wanted. Oh, here's Haley Atwell just checking out his abs. Oh,
Let's enjoy Peggy for a second.
she loves it. No acting required.
Moment for Peggy.
Oh, she's getting excited.
She's on a
I feel
breath.
taller.
She tries to touch. Almost goes to touch him. Woo. But he turned them down 3 times for this role because he didn't want to get pigeonholed into playing superhero movie. He didn't know if it would he'd get stuck doing that, and if it bombed, if he'd be just stuck to Chris Evans.
Yeah.
But Robert Downey Jr. actually convinced him to, because obviously Robert Downey Jr. saw the newfound stardom and stuff from playing Iron Man twice, so he convinced him. Oh, and now
S.H.I.E.L.D. has already integrated itself into the main.
Oh, Hydra? You mean Hydra?
Chris
Well,
Evans.
this guy was outside.
Here's the scene of him going to hold the doctor that you showed us from the comics.
Yep, it's about to happen.
They kill the doctor and take the last serum. That's left.
So this is
So
the
no one
first
else can
sense
do
we
it.
get that Hydra just infiltrates stuff, which we really see more in.
Well, they talk
Winter
about
Soldier.
the scene with Zoloff and Red Skull. They talk about you see that they're following the doctor, and he gives them permission to go after the serum after the success, after he shows the success.
Right.
Here we go. Chris Evans and all his
And
all
he
his
just
glory.
That's messed up, man. Taking out
Shoot
an
the old lady. That's great.
Oh my god.
Old lady with a gun.
Like Chris Evans doesn't even get a chance to go home and
Yeah.
digest what happened.
He doesn't even know what he looks like right now.
He has not been in
He
America.
doesn't know how many
Doesn't
muscles
see
he
him
has.
But he knows everybody's trying to touch his chest, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, he's seeing things. He's taller. He can see things from a higher perspective now. Haley Atwell is pretty badass.
Stop saying
Just like-
Haley Atwell. Say Peggy Carter.
no,
Boom.
I'm just saying Haley Atwell as an
Boom.
actress is badass.
That's targeting right there.
But Peggy Carter's badass too, just standing there.
She
firing
did that
guns.
lethal weapon thing where she targeted and shot him from a far distance.
Yeah,
Pretty
she
good
did.
with a pistol.
Yeah.
That's really good aim. Oh, she's just staring down the car as it's zooming towards her.
That's conviction right there.
She's a hero
Yes.
too.
This is so real too. Like I remember,
He's
He's
like,
realizing
I
how
can
fast
run.
he can run. You
Yeah.
see how he realized how fast he
that's
can run all of a
completely
sudden?
real. I remember the first time I was suddenly fast again, lost so much weight.
Yeah.
I was running. I was like, "Holy shit, what is this?"
I
I almost
yeah.
stumbled and fell. I was like, "Oh god!"
I love the beginning of Winter Soldier where he just keeps on your left. He just keeps
That's
tapping.
Right.
funny,
So
Mark.
dope.
That's,
He's
that's
running.
actually a good point. There is a scientific reality based in that because
Yeah.
I've been there too. I've lost a lot of weight, and you do things change. Like you can
Yeah.
jump higher, you can run.
Yeah,
faster.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh
You're
wow.
in good shape. It's cool.
Getting used to his
You
new
see
body
when he was
here.
running through the street. And he flew through a window because
Yeah.
he's trying to curve.
Yeah.
He just miscalculated his muscles.
90s films, he would have just suddenly been the badass that we know today, just out of nowhere.
right.
He doesn't get cut through the window, but yeah, that's
And
movies.
yeah, one of his powers that he gains with the serum is accelerated healing ability.
Yeah.
So, and clearly he can jump very far. But
Oh yeah, he's doing some high jumps, long jumps here.
yeah, pretty impressive. I mean, he is superhuman in every way, shape, and form.
Pretty awesome.
There's a in the comics or in one of the price guides. There's actually a list that they've done of like in factor of tons how strong is each Marvel character, and he's not high up there, but he's decent. Spider-Man's surprisingly a lot higher up than you would think.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He can hold his own.
So
The thing is, they actually made the Captain America in the movies a little stronger than the actual comic book version of him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Yes.
I'd say they. I mean, but Hollywood movie, you're going to do that. You're going to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I felt he should, just because. I mean, he's. You want him to be a superhero, so
Yeah.
he's just gonna be a regular
They
guy.
acknowledge that he's superhuman
Yeah.
in the comics, even
Right.
in their golden age. But yeah, they're I don't know if he would have been jumping that high up on the.
a little foreshadowing there. He was holding up the cab, the door to the
Yes.
cab, like
As
it
a
had a
shield.
star on it. You know, almost like his future shield is gonna have the
It
star.
might have been that.
This is one of my favorite moments too. Throws the kid in. Kid's like, I can swim, don't worry.
It's pretty funny, actually. There's
Again, that's your 80s and 90s moment. You have to save the kid from drowning.
Yeah.
Nah, fuck that.
I can
There's-
swim. Yeah, the kid's like, I can swim.
Go.
Yeah,
there
that's
is
great.
Oh, yeah, that's
there is very small hints of really solid comedic relief in this movie. There's no
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
it's pretty great.
Because again, it's like him figuring out the powers, and then
Yeah.
like all kind of like he's like new to it, so you can do stuff like that, kind of like with Thor, the fish out of water. And I mean, obviously, as we get into the future Cap movies, and he's a man out of time, kind
Yeah.
of like Thor was on a different
Right.
world. Like, well, you know, Winter Soldier's got his list of things to catch up on that he's missed in pop
Yeah.
culture and everything. You know, so we got Hydra sub.
And you see that scene with a kid, the kid in there. You see like right before that, he was about to sacrifice himself and let himself get shot when he put the gun to the kid's head.
Yeah.
He came out and says, "Don't do it." Luckily, the guy ran out of bullets, but.
I
Right.
would have liked if that kid could have been like a Easter. I mean,
Easter egg.
An Easter
Yeah.
egg, for something in
Like
the
Peter
future, but
Parker
it
being
wasn't.
an Iron, like Peter
Yeah.
Parker being
Yeah.
the kid in Iron Man
I
2.
mean, it would have been too early for Peter Parker, but yeah, it would have been cool. Like that could have been like a good way to use like a strong presence of a kid into something later
Yeah.
on. But
So,
Elijah.
you know, we're talking about Chris Evans too. Chris Evans was only paid $300,000 for this
Yeah.
movie, which is pretty low for star. I mean, obviously he's got a huge, bigger payday now, but like we said, he wasn't a huge star.
Yeah.
did he make
Yeah.
the most of the movie of the actors?
No, he was making the least at the time.
I'm sure.
No, in
I'm
this
so-
movie.
Oh, the actors in
Tommy
this
Lee
movie.
Jones.
Yeah,
Tommy
he
Lee
made
Jones
most.
probably made more.
Maybe.
Tommy
Oh.
Lee Jones was an Oscar winner at this
Yeah.
point. You know, he probably was making.
How
I don't
often is
know.
that the
Yeah,
case?
I was
The
sure.
viewers
I
are
don't
watching.
know.
Go back to
Hugo,
Superman.
Hugo Weaving was probably.
What they
making more,
did, I
too.
mean, with him and Hemsworth, they made deals, multiple picture deals,
multi-film, yes.
and they weren't as well. Hemsworth definitely wasn't. He wasn't as big as he is now, obviously from the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But, you know, leading up to the cast, you said, I think their main choice was Chris Evans, right? But he had turned them down, so the other people considered, including Sam Worthington, Martin, your boy Will Smith was considered. Like, I don't know, could have had a black Captain America? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
I
may
don't know.
get a black. Captain
Yeah, we still
America.
might. Garrett Hedlund,
yeah,
Channing
that's
Tatum, Sebastian Stan, who went on to be cast as Bucky, was considered for this too. John Krasinski, a lot of random people.
in
back
the
then I would have
comics-
said
Ryan
what?
Philippe,
Now it's-
Alexander Skarsgård, who was also considered for Thor, I believe. So.
In the comics, both
Yeah.
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier eventually hold the mantle of Captain America.
Yes.
So it could go either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See what
Then we'll
happens.
see. Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be cool. I mean, that'd be awesome. I'd be down for that.
The Winter Soldier would maybe make more sense to see his accelerated superhuman strength.
Yeah.
But Falcon does it too. I could see him doing
So
it.
when Cap dies in Infinity War, then Bucky's gonna take over.
You mean in whatever the fourth one's going to be?
Maybe.
Whatever it's
the
called.
newest one? Yeah.
Yeah. Is Bucky going to take over?
I'm gonna
Possibly.
be. It's gonna be it's gonna be crazy. It's like watching Logan. Like, no, it's the end of an era kind of thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's gonna be sad. It's
I don't
gonna be sad.
like he said, "Hey, goodbye," and sent out the tweets. It's like, dude, just
It's
keep
sad.
it a secret.
Yeah,
Keep it a
agreed.
secret. Don't say
Agreed,
nothing.
Chris.
Well, we don't know. Yeah, we'll. I mean, it's
We don't know.
it's
We
all-
actually don't know what's going to
Like
happen.
we've said about this industry, it has a lot to do with contracts. People they sign multi-picture
Yeah.
contracts.
Yeah,
The
we know
contracts are
what's gonna
up.
happen.
And
Yeah. Well, no, I will say this too. Before he signed his next contract, Chris Evans did say that he was like wanting to leave the character.
Yeah.
He wants to direct
and then he
films,
signed.
yeah.
He signed on for more things
Right.
later on. But the problem, it wasn't a problem. The thing with Chris Evans, he wanted to. The problem he had before when he turned this movie down was that he wanted to he wanted to do good movies, and every time he did a film, especially a superhero film, it got reviewed badly. That's one of his hesitations about doing this film.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And Robert Downey Jr. actually talked him into doing it.
Right.
Robert Downey had said, "Let's try it. I know you've been one of these superhero guys before. Let's do it." And he took the chance with it, and then he's everyone likes everyone. Yeah, no one can think of anyone else but him as Captain America.
Right.
So I see that the Hydra like Hail Hydra is like two fists up. It's just like one more hand up than the Nazi salute.
It's a lot of work. You know?
And it's not. Yeah.
It's too much.
So this is kind of like Hydra's kind of like the secret organization.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I don't want to raise one arm. Yeah.
Hydra's kind of the secret organization behind the Nazis.
They are. They're a very
And we're
much a
finding,
secret
and,
organization.
and with that submarine, I feel like we found that submarine was like a fish out of water in this world because it felt so much more technologically
Futuristic, yeah.
advanced. Yeah, that was cool to see.
More Peggy. There were a couple. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I think Howard even mentions at some point, I've never seen technology like this before or something. So yeah, no, there's no doubt about it.
You're right. So Hydra
has found a way through that their scientists to create.
But they use the power of the Tesseract.
Before that, the Tesseract has nothing to do with the submarine. They do eventually.
Well, I mean, that is based on real life because Hitler and the Nazis were actually. Really, like he was obsessed with the occult.
He was
and
an occultist,
weird, like technology, and they wanted to explore like alien stuff and weird technology, and they were digging. Like that's why like Indiana Jones used that too. Like the Nazis are trying to find the Ark of the Covenant to harness that power. So it's like, but he really was experimenting with crazy things, and we don't even know the extent that the Nazis may have gone with some of these things.
I know there's been documentaries on it, but I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere where Hitler was looking for like the sword of destiny. Is what I believe I read once.
Yeah,
and to like control fate itself. I mean, he really bought into that stuff. So, but also he was doing a lot of drugs. So
yeah, wow. but it's all kind of based on reality, and so that's why there's a lot of similarities between this and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think Red Skull even has a line in this about like Hitler digging up things in the desert and stuff like that, which is a little Raider. Because Joe Johnston, as we mentioned, the director of this, worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark and won an Oscar for it. So, I think somebody gets thrown into a plane propeller in this movie too. So there's a few references to that. I was going to mention Peggy. We were talking about casting earlier. There were also Keira Knightley was considered for this. Alice Eve, who went on to be, she was in Star Trek Into Darkness. Emily Blunt actually turned down the role. So
all British actors.
This was probably before Emily Blunt she wasn't a big star at this point. I don't think American audiences really knew Emily Blunt from anything.
No, not really.
Oh, maybe Devil Wears Prada or something. Other than that.
Maybe the Adjustment Bureau, but even not a lot of people saw that movie.
Is this where they're trying to figure? Oh, here's where he's getting his first goofy. Now, his first goofy kind of Captain America costumes are based more on the comics, right? When he's doing this is what he looks like in the comics, kind of more cheesy. But I love that it fits because we've talked about this before. Like Thor.
Let's find out. Let me look at the page.
Like Thor and stuff, you kind of adjust their costumes so they don't look too cheesy in real life. But this is funny that he's doing the propaganda thing, so you want to make it cheesy.
Right.
Well, this is a throwback to the original comics of selling war bonds.
The little wings on the side of the head and stuff like that.
Were you saying, Ryan?
Yeah. So that's exactly what this was. This is a throwback to the original Golden Age comics of him promoting to sell war bonds for the war for World War II. Yeah. So and they did it so like comedically and perfectly, quite frankly. So.
Well, this did happen in World War II. You had a lot of these promotional things. Yeah, I love the song, the Captain America song. And the music in this movie. So the score to Alan Silvestri did the score for this. Of course, he did like Back to the Future and Forrest Gump, and he came back to do some of the later the Avengers and Infinity War and stuff. But the score is really good in this. I love the Captain America theme. Might be my favorite MCU character theme, actually.
It's one of the most fun.
Yeah, and then there's the song, it's so good.
I like, too, how you see he gets more and more confident as his montage goes on.
I love he's got to read the lines on the back of the shield.
And now we get to throw back to Captain America Comics #1, where he punches Hitler in the face, iconic image. So we're going to get that in every single play that he does, which is kind of funny.
That's so cool, the little kids.
I know.
He's right there! It's so great. The punch. I love the punches, like clear, not even close. Like, and they little sound
effect.
And they're just doing it over and over and over in every city. This is a great montage.
Well, there's the funny scene that comes up where he's like, "I've punched Hitler 100 times," or like, "I've."
Now here we've talked about this in other movies where there are Captain America. There are Captain America comic books, so it's one of those comic book movies again where the character in the world of the movie is a comic book star, which we've seen in Logan and some of the other.
They made the movies.
A copy of Captain America Comics #1, CGC .5, and it was. The reason it was a .5, it was missing 2 interior wraps. Otherwise, it had the cover and everything else. It just sold. Oh, go ahead. Wait. You said.
Go ahead.
No. Finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say that blonde woman who was just seeking an autograph from him is the same. Laura Haddock, I believe her name, is the same actress who plays Peter Quill's mother in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So. Kind of another somebody popping up multiple times in the MCU. Now, that obviously was not intentional because James Gunn, I think, subsequently said when that was pointed out to him that he joked that was Peter Quill's grandmother getting an autograph from Captain America. So is that right?
No, I didn't want you to miss that.
I thought that was a fun little MCU thing, but
no, it is. It's fun when you see those little sort of unique Easter eggsy sort of things. But so it sold for a .5, sold for $32,000, and it just goes to show you
the punching Hitler.
Yes, Captain America Comics #1 from 1941. It's not a cheap book. I would love to own one day, and it could go for a lot of money. So.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So now he's actually over in Europe entertaining the troops. Now there was an original plan at some point in this movie during the development of this to have cameos while he was in the World War II setting, to have cameos from Hugh Jackman as Logan, as a soldier.
What?
And maybe the character of Magneto being in the concentration camp. Because we know both of those characters were actually around in the World War II setting. We saw the concentration camp at the beginning of the first X-Men with Eric being in there, and then Logan
was fighting all the way back.
Right, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, we saw him in World War II, but obviously with the rights issue, with Fox owning the rights to those characters, they couldn't make it happen, but it would have been kind of cool if you had seen those characters pop up in this movie, because he's in World War II in Europe, and we know those guys were there. Not a lot of other MC or Marvel characters that you knew were around during that time that are supposed to be around in modern day.
It definitely would have been above anybody else, no doubt about it.
Would have been awesome, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so this scene, he actually goes, after doing his tour and everyone loves him, he goes actually entertains the troops, and the troops are like, "You're a joke."
Yeah.
And this is the first time he feels that, like, oh, well, I'm not helping. Because he felt like they pitched him as selling these war bonds as helping the war. And he's doing his part because he had that picture, he saved that kid, so everyone thought he was a hero.
Right.
And so now he doesn't feel like a hero because
he's a sellout.
The actual heroes think he's a joke.
But I think that's great that was something that was started during World War II. We had, you had a lot of people like Bob Hope and all these guys go over and entertain the troops and stuff. And that's still something that continues to this day. You have a lot of comedians and entertainers and musicians who go over to the Middle East where you have troops stationed and to entertain them and keep the spirits up. And they're willing to kind of go into these dangerous areas and do this for, morale and to help their country in some way. So
it's so crazy too. Like, this is like an allegory for life in a way. Because here we have this character who really wanted to make a difference and who really wanted to be something other than what he was. He's finally to that point where he's making a difference, and it's still not enough for him. You got to take it to the next level now. Really become that person that he really wanted to become. And you see him going through that. I think that's what makes me cling to him as a character, because you really feel like his dread of not doing the most that he possibly could for his country.
Right.
I mean, I think out of the whole MCU, he might have the best character arc.
It's hard.
I'll say at the beginning, but he doesn't.
He stays a great person. Okay, right. I guess Tony goes through a lot of stuff, but at the beginning, just seeing, I don't know what other where has changed and gone through
he's conflicted the most because he always wants to do the right thing at any cost, but then him saving Bucky, he knows that's not the right thing. He knows what he's doing is wrong. So, I feel the most torn when it comes to him. Tony Stark goes through his, hey, I want to profit off of all this and whatnot. And then at the end of he's, signing the Accords. So, Tony has a good arc, but his arc seems like the most complicated.
You can, relate to this guy who's just, a skinny little, well, maybe I can, see a little dude, something
he looks like you.
It's but I don't know, I'm just saying, but he becomes so where, I could never relate to Tony Stark. I've never been a billionaire, genius, playboy, philanthropist.
He knows what he's doing is wrong, but he knows inherently it's right for him. Right. That's what Captain America always does in himself, he knows what he's doing is right. He always acts on his intuition, his gut instinct. That's the thing with him, I feel like.
But he knows, like, he knows, like, Captain America would be the person that would, like, okay, if I have to kill this one person to save 1 million, he's still not going to kill that one person. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because he knows inherently it's the wrong thing for him to do, so he would not do that. Even though it's technically the right thing to do in that moment, quite frankly.
But then when he goes to Bucky, he knows saving Bucky's not necessarily the right thing to do, but that's the only thing that gets him to act against his own, like...
No, but it's the right thing for him because it's his best friend, and he wants to save his friend. He wouldn't go against himself to do that. That's how I'm perceiving it. I totally get where you're coming from as well, by the way. But there's multiple ways.
Where is Bucky at this point? We haven't seen Bucky in a while.
Bucky was in the...
Right now, this is the he just found out the 107th has been captured.
Right, so that's why he's going to.
So now he's been
captured.
Gotcha.
So after the big. He had the big talk with Haley Atwell, Agent Carter, saying that, hey, I feel like I'm not doing enough. Then he hears that his Bucky's
she motivates
platoon.
him. She's like, don't be the dancing monkey, go do something, and that's what gets him to finally do it.
Well, no, he does on his own because she didn't know.
No, but she's
she goes
the one that
with him.
motivates. She tells him. She gives him like a little pep speech when he's the monkey. So yeah. But
he's a woman.
You always a good woman to
and they get Tony Stark or Howard Stark to slide.
This is actually cool because he's about to like actually get into some real war action. Where now it's all been like it's all been the propaganda and simulating punching people. Now he's actually going to get his taste of real action.
And that's what's cool about this is as a viewer, you don't really know what to expect just yet. You think he's going to kick ass, but you don't know.
Well, you saw him in that chase and stuff. And it's like this is different. This is different. This is actual war zone.
And he obviously lives up to the expectations. So question, does anyone know what famous comic book creator, because I want to keep it somewhat vague, I don't want to say what they did.
StanLee.
Does anyone know what comic book creator served in the military and in what capacity they did?
Ooh, that's good. I don't know the answer, but
World War II.
Either Kirby?
It was the creator
You're going with Kirby?
Sure. It's either StanLee, Jack, or Jack Kirby, probably. But
it could be Joe Simon.
Maybe Joe Simon.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
So it was Stan Lee.
Wow.
He served in World War II, as you suspected, as at first he repaired telegraph poles for communication purposes, and then they transferred him to a training unit where he, I actually believe he worked on cartooning and did training manuals and stuff. So
interesting.
So he did serve in the army, he served a purpose, and I'm pretty sure he probably took, even though he did not create Captain America, I'm sure he took some of that into working on
for sure.
His first writing credit was Captain America, right? Wasn't Stan Lee's first writing credit Captain America?
Yep, that is correct, Martin. Captain America Comics #3, the 3rd issue. And that book sells for a lot of money for that purpose.
Really?
Yeah, that goes
what year
not
was
as much
that?
as #1, but
what year was that?
It would have been 41 still.
So Stan Lee, he's like 95. So he would have been like under 20.
I think
he's like 18, 19 when he started writing. Really?
Yeah, he was young.
Wow.
See, now Jack Kirby and Joe Simon were already very established artists and comic creators when Stan Lee came into the fray at Timely Comics.
Yeah.
He was like a young kid, but he was so like go-to that he actually got promoted to do his own stuff later on for the publisher. And I believe there was some contention on how Jack felt about that later on in the
These Hydra soldiers look like RoboCop.
Well, they make them. They're
with their
stormtroopers pretty much.
They do kind of have that.
Kind of, yeah. We just got our first peek at the Howling Commandos. I love the group of guys too, and they all pop up.
Yeah,
with,
they didn't come in till, and it's so funny. They're like coming at the midpoint.
An hour into the movie.
Well,
they end up popping up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Those actors all pop up in those as well.
So they first appeared in, I think it was Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos #1 in the 60s. And it's not until 13 issues later that Captain America appears in that issue with them.
Wait, so they had their own separate... They were like as like a World War II unit?
With Sergeant Fury, with Nick Fury, essentially. That's their own separate...
Wait, Nick Fury was in World War II?
No, sorry. That must, no. In Sergeant, in that issue in the 60s, he appears in that.
Okay.
That's like his own kind of separate comic.
Oh, nice,
that he got, yeah. Sorry, not World War II, yeah.
Oh, I don't know, yeah.
Right, but Captain America appears in that 13 issues later So they adapted it a little early on, obviously,
Yeah.
for the movie, just like with the Cosmic Cube. But you can do that. You can mix the storyline up a little bit, I guess, too.
I love World War II.
I mean,
I'm a
this,
big,
this one is pretty true to the story,
Yeah.
his origin. You can mix it up a little.
I'm just a big World War II fan. I'm like a big history buff, so I love World War II movies. But it was cool too because like Wonder Woman was World War One. You almost never see World War One
well, you
movies
never
too.
see
But
World
I
War
just,
One.
but I just love. World War II was just such a crazy time and like
Why
I don't
is
know.
it
It's
for
like
Americans?
well, I
you
mean,
know?
I don't know.
I
It's
see a lot
just
of
like,
World War One movies. Why is
I
it?
don't
It's always
know.
World War II,
World War
I feel
II
like,
was
yeah.
the bigger deal.
People
maybe?
are
I
more
don't know.
familiar with World War II.
It lasted 2 years longer than World War One. Who knows? I don't know. Not really sure.
No, I mean,
It was the big culmination because World War One. A lot of people say it never really ended. Like the tensions never ended, and then World War II happened. So it was just like it was one big war with like a 21 year break in between. And so World War II was like the finale. It's like like the Avengers finale. Like that's when it all came together and we triumphed.
It's crazy
over
as a
evil
kid. You
once and
think
for
of
all.
these wars as like exactly that, like finales. Like, oh my god, that happened. It's like when you think about wars in our own life, like no, let's never make that happen ever again. You know what I mean? Like you idealize
But
it
it's
as
like
kids.
this is where heroism is born. Like this is where you you see things like heroes and villains. It's like in real life is like during wartime, and it's crazy. It drives
breaking
technology, it drives economy.
Well, the movies romanticize it, but we know in real life that is
Yeah.
not. I mean, I think I would say Saving Private Ryan portrayed it perfectly when they
Right.
stormed Normandy.
Right.
That was not romantic at all.
well, no, it's not. But I mean, like
Well,
it. Maybe in retrospect, you assign heroes and villains.
And then it's cool because like now you see stuff like stories that you see like what Sokovia did to like the twins. What are their names again? So it's like you get those perspectives
Yeah,
now.
right.
What
Quicksilver
war
too.
does
Right.
to people?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, I guess I'm talking about like during the time, like it was propaganda and stuff,
Yeah.
and those like Captain America's a hero and Hitler's a villain and like that,
Yeah.
that stuff sticks.
I always think back to that little movie. What was it in Inglourious Bastards? Was it that
Yeah.
one that had the movie with the sniper? The little.
Oh.
Is that what it?
The movie within the movie, yeah,
movie within the movie,
which
yeah.
I think Eli Roth directed the movie within the movie, and yes, yep. So here now he's broken all his friends out. Now he hasn't found Bucky yet, right? Because
No, he hasn't found Bucky
Bucky's
yet.
like in the lab.
He's
like,
close to, but not
So
yet.
Neil McDonough we have
Still
as
cool.
I forget his character's name with the big mustache and the bowler hat. Now he has some World War II experience. He was in Band of Brothers, which was 10 years before this in that miniseries.
Yeah.
Also as one of the guys in the Airborne Division. Also
One of the
Minority
big character
Report.
actors.
He was awesome in Minority Report.
Very big
too.
character.
and he's
actor around this
currently
time.
in the DC universe.
What's he in?
He's on the TV shows as Damien Dark.
Oh, wait, which
So-
show?
Arrow. Flash,
he pops up.
He
Okay,
pops up in all of them
And he
now.
played the villain in the Chung-Li movie that came out.
Hey,
okay.
Bison.
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 Yeah, in Bison.
I see.
Yes.
He's the first actor I saw in LA at a restaurant.
Really?
I saw him across the street. What's that?
It's Neil
a Mexican
Minogue.
restaurant
That's,
across the street from
Neil
Paramount?
Minogue. That's
Lucy's?
Is that what it's
Oh, I
called?
remember Lucy's.
That's
His
across
face
from
right now.
Paramount.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
Lucy.
I
Did
think
you say
so,
hi to
yeah.
him, or
No.
you want to talk to him? Yeah.
Just let them do their thing.
Yeah,
Pretty
no,
good. I don't
but
even know
it's-
if they had video surveillance cameras in the 40s. Like,
Wow.
Hydra's got some really advanced technologies. Okay, now, this is where Toby Jones's character is going to pack up the lab because it's being all invaded and stuff now. And,
Zoloff. His name's Zoloff.
Yeah, Zola, that's
Zola.
right. And I believe when he's packing up his stuff, you see he's packing up blueprints, and you can see the plans for like a schematic for like a robot body and stuff, which he inhabits
Yeah.
later on in Winter Soldier. You see
Wow.
that he's
Yeah.
put his mind. Yeah,
Oh,
I
there
think
it
it's
is.
some of these blueprints. I think maybe if you pause it and see. So,
He's like artificially intelligent.
Yeah, so he has. We know he eventually uploads his brain and exists in computer form later on.
That's more than AI. That's uploading a consciousness.
Which is
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
That technology, we don't even have that technology now.
Kind of
so
like
it's,
Transcendence a little bit. It's like,
Yeah.
a little bit of Chappie in there.
Yeah. Chappie. I never saw that, but sure it was good.
Oh, watch it.
Yeah.
I love this dramatic lighting. The cinematography is really good in this.
Green light.
This
Bucky, green.
cinematographer
Green lights.
shot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze.
Green light.
Just to let
Well,
you know.
you could tell by that
Just to
green
let you
light.
know.
So
right?
this storyline would have been adapted later in the more modern comics. I mean, in the early comics, Bucky doesn't get captured and then tortured, and then he's just with them by his side every time. So.
Now, they were doing experiments on him, right? Did they put any of the serum in him at this point?
No.
Or...
No, this was more torture and trying to get information out.
But I think, isn't it some of the whatever they did? They may have done some stuff to him that helped him survive the fall.
No, they
later
they
in the
freeze
movie,
him.
right?
They kind of no, like later on they take his body because that's why
Oh,
he loses
yeah,
his
when he
arm.
falls later on,
When he
yeah.
loses his arm and stuff like that because they
Right.
replace it.
Yeah.
He's not the same. It's not the same serum. And they wind up
But they
freezing
may
him and
have
put him in
done-
a stasis
Oh.
over the years.
I figured they
uncorking him
did
for
something to
assassinations.
him, some experimentation with other
They did.
that they didn't.
Oh
see.
yeah, no, they
gave
were
him the
doing
serum.
that now.
Yeah, they gave him a serum, I should say.
But before, like as of this point, or
No,
later
no,
on.
here
I thought
nothing.
I thought they
Nothing
did
yet.
something to him to help him survive that fall.
Which comes
no.
later on. That is
Right.
correct. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah.
They may
Later
have,
on
they
when
may
he falls,
have.
yeah, they will get. They do give him something eventually. Correct. Or I think Chris, you might be right. It might be after he's frozen.
Yeah, because
I don't know if they
the
give
thing
it
is,
right
it's
away.
not frozen. They more put him in stasis after they rebuild parts of his body. That's why he doesn't have the arm and
Yeah.
stuff. They put him in stasis and they uncork him when they want him to do assassinations.
Exactly. Yep. They maybe even
then-
inject
and they freeze
him
him back up
when he's
again.
in stasis mode.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so we get the first meeting between Captain America
Now
and
wait,
Red
have
Skull.
we not seen the Red? They haven't revealed Red Skull yet, right?
No, we haven't
I
seen
don't
his
think we
face.
have. I don't think we have.
Did we
so-
see?
this
We
becomes-
saw
No,
the
you
photos.
saw a silhouette of him. That's
We
it.
saw the. Then we saw the paint. Didn't they paint him?
Yeah, but we didn't see the painting. I don't believe.
really?
But
We saw
now-
the
Oh, here we
red-
go. You can see the mask
We saw,
starting
we,
to.
saw, we saw the red markings on the painting.
What
yeah.
other movies let's remind me of something. What other movies where somebody wearing something over something and then it starts to like sag and look all crazy until they like
Mission Impossible.
pull it off? Yeah, maybe it's like there's other
Men in
yeah,
Black.
yeah, there's other.
It separates
Oh,
them.
Men in Black. I'm thinking of
Captain America
with
Winter
the
Soldier?
bug with Vincent D'Onofrio when he's wearing the human skin and it starts to get all rotten and saggy.
This
at
is
the
when he
end.
reveals.
Here we go. Here he's getting the Red Skull reveal.
And Captain America Winter Soldier actually.
And this
Black
when
Widow
this when he
does it.
this when he
yeah.
reveals he was the first guy
Here
that
we
was
go.
experimenting.
Oh, it's good makeup. Yeah,
It was great makeup. The nose is perfect. You don't know what it is.
That's great. Yeah, I can see why Hugo Weaving probably. Yeah, some actors maybe aren't as patient with sitting in hours and hours and hours of
I'm
makeup
sure
every
he
day.
got tired of it.
But apparently, you didn't have to do it for too much of the movie because it's the first time we've actually seen
True.
it, and we're like over halfway through this movie, and now we're finally
Well,
actually seeing.
But we
the,
do get him for this second.
But for the
half.
whole rest
Yeah.
of the movie, he's in his
Yeah.
full Red Skull look.
Well, yeah, he just threw his mask in the fire, so now he's Red Skull the rest of the movie.
Yes, correct.
Why do bases, like secret bases in movies, always contain so much explosive material? Once you
yeah.
start blowing one thing up, the whole thing is just gonna go. That's what's happening right here.
Well, in this one, obviously, he's been experimenting with the Tesseract, so
Right.
there's plenty of things to blow up down there.
It's a cool technology, to be honest. I mean, and the interesting thing was, yeah, that was not the original incarnation of the Cosmic Cube. The way that they're using it, it had
Yeah.
many different versions throughout the comics, created by different people. And I don't mean artists. I mean like within the comics, like
Right.
they were actually created Cosmic Cubes. But yeah, I'd say the one that we have come to know is maybe a more modern version or later on in the series. So, but
Yeah, the Red Skull just left Zola.
Left
He has this
Look at
helicopter
crazy
thing.
helicopter thing. I don't even know.
Yeah.
If I don't even think
So
they
rocket
had,
helicopter
really had
thing,
helicopters.
but
in
it
the
only
40s.
had one person. It was only for one person.
I
So
helicopter.
love
I don't
the
think we had
advanced
those back then.
technology. Bucky and Steve going on
They
adventures.
could have had their own series
now
together.
Bucky's the small one.
what, like as a movie?
Yeah, just like their own on-demand series.
Oh,
Oh, they lose this thing. It's like, oh,
Here we go. The whole base is falling apart.
but you came all the way here for me. I'm not gonna leave you.
Oh, super
I-
strength,
I could've-
bending.
I could've done that.
Bending steel
Yeah.
out. Looks like from the Glass trailer.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing?
Bruce Willis bends the metal bar.
He doesn't know how far he can jump.
that's what that facial expression was. Yeah.
That's great too. Just cut to this. I like how when him and the group, they were like walking towards the camera and like that iconic Armageddon shot. Like that's a callback to that video monitor that was behind him as he was doing like his theatrical version of it. So he's like walking and like they're obviously not going anywhere. So
Right.
he actually gets to relive that, but for real, which is cool.
They think Captain America's dead, so because he disappeared.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, he's gone.
it's all Miss Carter's fault.
You lost our most valuable asset that the U.S. Army has.
This is the time where he actually becomes a hero to the heroes.
Right. We know he is not a fan of Captain America until this moment coming up. So, yeah, he kind of despises him.
It's like, this is a moment where, like, you go against the grain. This is, Captain America's doing what he knows is right for him.
Right.
Like you said before, Ryan, even though it's against, like, rules and regulations.
Yeah,
So
I think
maybe he jumps back and forth.
He does. I think the theme is you have to follow your heart. That's pretty much what Captain America stands for in my mind. You always go with what your heart tells you, even though I know I once said that you follow your gut.
You hate following your gut.
I do. Leads to bad smells. But anyway, yeah, here comes the awesome moment
Here
where
comes
they
that
come
callback
back.
to him walking and
back
leading these
after-
guys back.
Which is great.
Just
There's an
like you
iconic-
did in the propaganda ad.
Yep.
There's
He
an
did in
icon-
real life.
Yep.
There's an iconic cover with Sergeant Fury and his Howling Fernando's number.
Yeah.
It's number 13. That's kind of the key one, and it's with him like kind of walking with all the Captain America with all the Howling Commandos. So that kind of was iconic right there, I'd say.
And they got
Little
some of
bit
their
of throwback.
weapons, so they can.
I know they
Yeah.
got some of the they got the Hydra weapons now.
This reminds you of this is like No Man's Land and Wonder Woman, but taking like we got to see the fight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll say that.
when you down. Yeah, I mean, there's
That
a
was
quick
emotional moment.
there's a quick montage of like World War II action coming up after this. But I always thought when I saw this movie, like, it wasn't enough. I wanted to see more full battles. You know what I mean?
That's the guy he was in training camp with. That was
Yeah.
being macho.
the Me Too guy. Let's call him that.
The Me Too guy.
There you go. He did it. He's the hero.
He looks small here.
He lost a little weight for the trip. Who knows?
But he surrenders himself. Like, hey.
Yeah.
Oh my
Which-
God, Tommy Lee
Tony
Jones
Stark would have never done
Tommy Lee
that.
Jones almost cracked a smile right there.
Well, this I think goes to your point earlier, where he does shift. Like he doesn't surrender himself later, but that's because it's part of the comic book storyline. He becomes Nomad,
Yeah.
who is a kind of Ronin warrior who does not follow the codes of
He
normality.
just follow the rules blindly, like he did, obviously.
He does here. Later
Yeah.
on in Captain America: Civil War, he may have given up and everything. Like he would have done
Well-
what was right to the government. Now.
Well,
he
now
wouldn't
it's kind of like
do
stuff.
it.
Well, what happens in Winter Soldier?
It does change.
He starts to see that like the government can't be trusted too.
Right, exactly.
And then when Hydra pops out,
Personal friend, the senator says. Who doesn't
Personal
show up.
Senator.
friend.
And we don't know if this senator has been compromised by Hydra, like Gary Chandler's senator
Well,
later on.
well, at this one it's probably not, only because Hydra's
Probably not.
open.
Oh, here's Stan Lee's cameo. There we go. Now this is one of his only cameos in a movie for a character he didn't technically create, right? I mean, every other one we've kind of watched, which is insane.
That's
It's
true.
insane to
No,
think
it's
he's
actually
created
true.
so many characters. But if he hadn't revived him in the '60s, he may have been more forgotten about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that that they dressed him up as some sort of a army uniform since he served. And
If Stan Lee hadn't revived him in the '60s, he could have been left as a product of his time. Like we talked about World War II propaganda, like Rosie the Riveter. Just like, the U.S. created a character called Captain America to help raise morale about the country during World War II, and like that could have been it. He may not be in modern pop culture,
It would have been Tony as the sole kind of team.
Oh,
captain.
here's Natalie Dormer popping up in a small role here, who goes on to play Marjorie Tyrell in Game of Thrones.
Who dies?
And she's in the Hunger Games movies, right? And a bunch of other things.
You mean
But she
the show?
was the Hunger Games movies. Hunger Games.
Oh, Hunger Games. I'm still thinking
But yes,
Game of
the
Thrones.
show of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
But yeah, she
oh
was
no,
kind
you're
of,
right. She was in Hunger Games. Yeah.
Is that it for her? I don't know. That's a very small little role.
yeah.
So yeah, she was kind of unknown at the time.
She
She
pops
gets
up. She pops up again.
She gets
Oh,
a little
she does,
flirty
yeah.
with him.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Now here's the Howling Commandos. Now Kenneth Troy playing Jim Morita here. You guys know
What
his,
else has he been in?
Well, do you know his other connection to the MCU?
Oh yeah, he
feature
plays
movie?
from Thor. Doesn't he play the?
No.
What is
I
his
don't know.
connection?
He plays Principal Morita in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh,
And
that's
when
funny.
Peter is called into the principal's office in Spider-Man: Homecoming, he's playing the principal. In his office is a framed black and white photo of this character,
Really?
who he
Yeah.
also played in
So-
That's
this
funny.
movie. So, meaning he's supposed to be Jim Morita's grandson.
Ah!
So he's playing Jim Morita in this movie, and also playing his grandson, who's the principal of Peter Parker's school in Homecoming.
Interesting.
Isn't that cool? So that's a confirmed actual Marvel Easter egg, because there's the photo of this character from Captain America in his office, which is like a frame photo of himself. Yeah, so that's a cool little. I love that little. Which I don't think I noticed the first time I watched.
I definitely did
Homecoming. I was like, oh, that guy looks familiar, and then I read after. I was like, oh my god, I didn't even notice the frame photo.
So I have to say, I definitely do see the parallels that people were saying with Wonder Woman, kind of taking from this story.
It is,
like there's like the scene in Wonder Woman when they're in the bar.
Oh, they're all drinking at the pub.
And they kind of like she's like grouping up the.
They have the team.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it still didn't bother me. Like
No.
It's part of her origin too. So.
Well, Captain America. I enjoyed Wonder Woman a lot, but I mean they did it 6 years before Wonder Woman did in a movie. But it
feels maybe longer than 6 years.
I know, right?
Feels like 60 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like 1940s.
I love how Bucky just doesn't get it. He's so used to being the
center of
attention.
He's the center of attention usually.
It's a different. That's why the dynamic friendship between these two. It's so good.
And he's still taller than him, even though he's not in the comics. But in the movie,
just to put newspapers in your shoes. Yeah.
So that's the first.
What is Howard Stark experimenting with here? That's not like
I'm not sure.
That's the weapons.
It's not the Cosmic Cube Stone.
It's stuff from the Cosmic Cube. He took those bullets, because all the stuff they stole.
But it's not the stone inside. Oh,
no, because they started replicating the power from it. And that's when they were making the weapons. And so when you saw him break in there, you saw him take that bullet magazine.
Yeah.
Here's Natalie Dormer. That's right. She has this little flirtatious scene with.
What's that actor's name? Dominique something.
Dominic Cooper.
Yeah. He's a great actor. I thought he did a good job in this.
Yeah, he's an excellent actor.
Series. Carter.
Yeah, you should watch that, Martin. It's fun to see. It's like the further adventures of Howard and Peggy. It's great. Yeah.
This is a funny scene though with Dornan.
Natalie Dormer.
Natalie Dormer.
Dormer.
She does a great job of trying to man steal from Peggy. Not steal, but she fails.
God, it must be
must be fun to be a girl.
I was gonna say be such an attractive dude that girls just fight over you.
Steve's not used to this kind of attention, so this is new for him.
Must be.
He's so uncomfortable.
That is actually fun because he's this big hunk of a dude now, but he's not used to it. So once the sexual kind of aspect comes up, he's really uncomfortable because he's never experienced that before. Let me guess, Peggy. Oh, Peggy walks around the corner at the wrong moment.
Oh, poor Peggy.
What's that thing?
It's not what you think, Peggy. You think.
You know what, Peggy? You know what I think it is? It's Yon.
It's that.
Hey,
Chris, that's
are you paying attention?
She should have acted.
You should have stepped a lot faster.
She's being professional. They were in a military setting. There are ranks. There are rules.
No, man, that's your own damn fault.
Natalie Dormer there.
Sometimes you gotta break one of those rules, right?
You gotta break one of the rules.
Hey, that's no damn
fault.
And
when you don't, it's
let Natalie Dormer slide in. Hey.
Slide into DM.
No damn fault.
It's too much.
There are probably more opportunities for that in this.
I'm sure.
Now, I gotta get into the mindset.
Damn it, Chris! Find those opportunities.
I know.
We need those.
Hey.
Oh my God.
But yes, that was her own damn fault.
But yes,
she had to walk around the corner at the wrong time,
and then she shoots the gun.
Playing the long game
at him. Doesn't even know if this shield could work, and she just shoots the gun.
Yeah, that's great.
That's messed up. She could have killed him right
anger
there.
Issues right there.
Oh, here you're getting the shield prototypes. Yeah, now we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love this.
Yeah. Just a prototype.
I don't think we ever actually wrote
Vibranium.
where he gets the vibranium from, unless it says it later on. But I don't.
Yeah,
think
how does it get smuggled out of Wakanda? This is before Klaus and all that.
Yeah. He's
it's been smuggled out at
Claw
some
is
point.
not alive yet.
Claw, not Klaus. Yeah.
Klaus.
Claw.
But I'm not sure how he obtained it. But he does mention that it's the rarest metal.
In the comics, isn't it also it's made of vibranium and some adamantium, which they couldn't mention in this because of X-Men rights, but
I don't believe so.
The look in his face
is
just
she seems a little angry, huh?
Yeah. I don't remember.
See? That's her own damn fault, though.
So
She was a little angry.
It was a mix. It's a hybrid. Yeah, Peggy's got some anger issues here. How'd you know it wasn't going to, like, ricochet off and, like, kill somebody? You should never fire a gun inside.
Yeah.
Picky don't care.
In fact,
here we
it
go.
should have ricocheted off.
The shot of him just, here's all the great montage. Him with the shield, just with the howling commandos, just like busting through doors, firing guns,
he
killing
got
Nazis.
suit updated by Stark.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so this is interesting, Ryan. Maybe you can tell me more.
Motorcycle.
Maybe.
Captain America's character wasn't as humble in the comic books earlier on, was he? Like, he was still, like, kind of... I read something about him stealing, like, Ant-Man's wife later on. Like, him just being, like... Not necessarily being this character that we see here. Is there a difference between those two?
I can really go more by the cartoons, and I've always known him to be noble and honest there. But I think you're correct. I think in the comics there may have been times where he was not the best person in the world. And it's just however he's gonna be written. That's how it's
right.
These
These are the coolest shots in the whole movie. Them running through the woods, just firing machine guns. Like at this, like I said, when I saw this movie, I wanted to see like more full scenes. I mean, this is an awesome montage.
Yeah.
But, like I want to see more of this war action.
Yeah, see,
blowing up
like
tanks, running motorcycles out of explosions.
I was actually going to ask you guys what your
more.
favorite times in the movie was, because for me, it's actually the beginning. It's him becoming
right. Yeah, but
everything from that point on. Actually,
I know. I like the war action though, which is cool. Oh, of course, he's obviously got the picture of Peggy in the. And she
sees it in the film.
That's awesome.
See, that's
so
how
we just saw him throw his shield.
Player.
We just saw him throw his shield for the first time.
Yeah,
which we said before. Stan Lee kind of when they reintroduced the character.
And do you know when the first time he does that in the comics was?
No.
Neither do I.
Okay. So this is a mixture of they use different techniques for the shield. Sometimes it's CGI when he throws it, obviously.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's made out of like rubber when he needs to hit other actors with it. It's got like a magnet on it when he's got to stick it to his back.
Well, the scene that we just saw when he threw it, I'm pretty sure that was adapted into the original trailer.
Big tank.
Yeah.
And jumping away from an explosion. Yeah. You never look back. You never look back at the explosion while you're jumping away from it, right? I love that, like in the future movies, when he puts the shield onto his back and it makes that sound effect, like it just like attaches to his back. And
I love when like the moment where he's thinking about jumping and he's like, "Fuck it, I gotta do it." And he jumps and he has a shield, and the shield protects him from getting like hurt. Like I love those moments too.
Yeah. So good. Yeah.
Ryan, my favorite. I don't know what my favorite part of the movie is.
No, I agree. I like the beginning when he becomes.
Yeah, but I remember seeing it in the theaters, loving it. And I remember when it finally came out on rental. I remember seeing it once or twice because I freaking love this movie. And then after that, it would lose me after the beginning. So I wasn't sure if you guys had that same effect in another way or not.
I think it starts to lose me after the montages.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, no,
I don't get lost.
I wanted
to see it. No, I was excited to get to the Captain America action, which we kind of just got. You know. They were looking at the train tracks. You know, this isn't going to end well for Bucky.
Yeah, it loses me at the beginning for some reason. But...
I love that line. The Asian dude, he's like, what do you say? I'm from Oakland.
That's Derek Luke, who actually played Pete Diddy in the Taurus movie.
Yeah.
He
played Diddy in the
not the black dude, the Asian dude.
Is this like the World War II version of like the solo train heist?
He did play Diddy. Yeah, he did play
Diddy. A snowy mountainside train, which reminds me of seeing Solo now, which was actually a pretty great scene in that movie where they had to hijack the train and stuff. Zip lining down.
You guys ever zip lined before?
No. I have not.
I have not.
Wait. No, I have.
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
Wow, was it that memorable? What? No.
I did it over a lake once. I was like 8 years old at camp, but I know I did it. We called it the Omega. That was pretty cool.
I feel like in 90s movies, there's always that train. 90s action movies, there's always
like
a train somewhere.
No, 90s movies always have somebody doing kung fu, which I don't think happens. At least the Asian guy in the Howling Commandos does not start karate kicking people and stuff. So if this was the 90s, it may have been different.
Right.
But
they didn't do kung fu in the Titanic. That came out in the 90s.
Doesn't Billy Zane fight some people in that near the end when the ship's
Stop
going
trying
down?
to make shit.
I don't know. Okay,
Oh, this is what it's...
Why did he do that?
Not smart, right?
Because they separated them.
He didn't do it. They did it.
They did it.
Zoloft thinks
Hydra Robocop.
So they're trying to take Captain America by himself.
If you think about it...
Wasn't Chris Evans in Snowpiercer?
Yeah.
Like trapped in a train now? It's like, you know.
After this movie, yeah.
Right. There we go. This is great.
Sit down, son. So Captain America, he's the only one that's like full armor. Not armor, but like full costume and
has a shield,
helmet and shield.
Oh, is everyone
All
else?
the rest of the crew just going in there like leather. Nothing.
Yes, I believe that to be true.
We're watching it.
No, something I was going to point out. I will say when I first saw this movie, it always interested me if the shield was just heavy, but really only he could wield it, or if it was very light because of what it was made out of. But we see later on, like, I don't know, Black Widow handles it pretty easily. So does So does the Hawk.
Yeah, it's not like Thor's hammer where...
Why not? He'd handle it right there.
He's the only one who can pick it up.
I'm not sure it's that heavy. I think it might actually be pretty light, but...
No, I think it's lighter.
Nobody can throw it. Nobody.
Well, you gotta throw it, yeah.
No, but Black Widow...
No, Bucky's hanging off the side. I had no idea Bucky was gonna like come back.
This is your favorite scene?
I had no idea either.
No, Bucky, the friendship falling into the abyss. How in the world did he survive that? They must have injected him with something when they were torturing him before.
Well, they explain it. They explain it in Winter Soldier, but
what'd they say? I forgot.
How would he just
they found his body. He still had life in him, and they just experimented on him. They replaced his body parts that were broken, and they pretty much wiped his mind.
So the only thing he had was his arm was the only thing broken.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Maybe they
fell on his arm. He fell like this on his arm.
Maybe they gave him a little bit of the serum beforehand. I'm just saying. In the torture scenes we did not see.
But it's not the same people. The thing is, it wasn't like Zoloft. Zoloft was experimental. I mean, Zola. I keep saying Zoloft. That's a medicine.
It was the Russians who were actually experimental. It was the Russians. It was not the Germans.
Exactly. It wasn't the same people.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right, Chris. I think I just put him on. They do the experiments later on.
Well, hey, he'll be excited to get to Winter Soldier. We'll find out.
Oh, this is like my favorite thing in the world: potatoes
so
and
good.
steak. I know.
I bet you I can
With
beat
a
you
glass
in a
of
steak
milk.
contest.
That's
What?
interesting.
I bet you I can beat you in a steak off.
Do you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Cooking a steak or eating a steak?
What's the most steak you've ever eaten in one sitting?
It's like he's never had steak before.
Is that what we're talking about? We're talking about eating in the sense of
We're
quantity.
talking about
Or?
making steak. I bet you I can beat my steak will taste better than your steak.
Oh, I believe you.
Using an independent taste judge?
Yes, with Chad and Chris.
God knows I grill at
Make
your
it bloody.
parties and
Make
us.
it bloody.
Yeah, you do grill every party of mine.
Make it bloody. I know.
Bloody.
Capers, how'd you like that Halloween photo?
Hey.
I posted a
Yeah.
few days ago.
I'm sorry I didn't have a fun costume. I attended the World Series game
Very
that
boring.
night between the Red Sox and the Dodgers, so I had my Sox gear on, so,
Hey, that was your costume.
That's my costume, Red Sox fan. Although,
Comes to an LA party.
I don't have to pretend.
It was lazy, but it was true. And that's what
There was truth. There was truth in it. It was from the heart. So, yeah.
You're right. Why
Just to recap, Martin was Powerline from a Goofy movie.
I was Max dressed as Powerline. From
Oh,
the movie.
Max
And I
as
never got to see you
Powerline.
do the fish line. I never saw you do it.
The perfect cast.
cast.
Perfect cast.
Not the,
The
fish
fish
line.
line.
You're gay at us.
The perfect cast. Chris was sexual chocolate.
I was sexual chocolate.
And Ryan was a Mario.
Mr. Mario.
Hopefully, Capers, you had a great Halloween, and
Yeah.
hopefully you saw Thor right after.
If you guys, what about Thor?
Hopefully you listened to our Thor
Oh yeah.
commentary right after.
If any of you capers did any fun comic related Halloween costumes, send those along. Tag us in it. We'd love to check them out.
Especially if anyone was dressed as Captain America.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Since that's what you listen to right
Definitely.
now.
I had a friend Peyton who was dressed as Captain America for. She went to LA Comic Con.
Oh.
You might have seen her there, Ryan.
I
So I
might
know you
have.
went, Mr. Collector. How was it?
LA Comic Con?
Uh-huh.
It was as bad as it always is.
Well, we won't be tagging their official handle in this.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so now we have Tommy Lee Jones interviewing Zola.
Right.
All right,
Or interrogating.
I'm kidding. LA Comic Con was fine. It was good.
Good. We still don't believe you.
I'm trying to save face.
Here you go. Here's the big flying wing that we know Cap is going to go down in, and then that's the ship we find out that they discovered in the opening scene of the movie in modern times, right?
Exactly. And
I feel like his speech right here is right on par with Bill Pullman from Independence Day.
I just watched that.
So motivating.
Rallying the troops.
Rallying the troops, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, because all the Hydra soldiers have masks, it's like they're faceless. It's like stormtroopers, like in Star Wars with the...
Yeah.
You don't connect them to... It might be different if you saw the real people, but because you don't see that, they're more inhuman in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
God, that makes sense. That's why we connect with Finn so well, because that's the first time you saw a stormtrooper.
It's like literally the first time you see a stormtrooper take his mask off in any of the Star Wars movies.
Who wasn't one of the main characters posing as a
Right.
stormtrooper, yeah.
Well, you know, in the prequels that all the clone troopers look exactly like Tamora Morrison, Jango Fett's character, because they're all clones of him, but,
But later on.
Anyways, going on a Star Wars tangent. So I guess you could say, are any of the stormtroopers still clones that are left over that look like him? But obviously they recruit people later on, which is why...
they recruit people and they would take people from being kids and grow them.
Right, which is what happened to Finn.
So...
Yeah. But we don't know with the Hydra. Maybe these are probably just recruits. I don't think they're cloning anybody yet at this point.
Oh no, I think they're just recruits. And it's funny because that's what the stormtroopers were taken from the World War II Nazi SS troopers.
Now you have the scene of... I always appreciate when a main character dies, you have to have a scene where somebody's sad and like reminiscing.
I'd like to point something out.
You have to.
But I was just saying, like in real quick, while we're talking about Star Wars: Force Awakens, why did Chewie and Leia not hug after Han Solo died? That always bothered me because they go way back with him.
Yeah.
Why did that not happen? Why did Leia go and hug like Rey?
Right.
Why did she not hug Chewie? But I digress. Anyways, so it was not proper mourning. I did not.
You have to have that scene of aftermath. That's what they teach in film school.
You have to.
Scene of aftermath is important
because you are mourning as a viewer.
Yeah.
Probably for this character and for. You know how much it means to Steve because you've established their relationship and their friendship. And,
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Ryan. What were you going to say?
I would like to point something out.
Yes.
This scene, it's interesting. Doesn't even know why.
Why?
All right.
What about?
He's drinking. He's sad. But what can he not feel from the drinking?
He can't
get
drunk.
He can't get drunk.
He can't get drunk.
Did they mention
that? Sucks!
Right?
No, they actually mentioned that.
Maybe he just needs a higher amount of alcohol.
No, he needs a lot higher amount. But
it's a psychological thing. Even like me, like I used to smoke like on and off, but I know that smoking's not the thing that calms me down. It's the physical breathing, like you're taking in a cigarette.
It's not the nicotine?
It's the breathing that calms
Wouldn't
you
that
down.
have been funny if they had like 15 empty whiskey bottles next to him on the table there?
Right.
That should have been kind
That's
of
how
funny.
much he needs to. No, but that would have been good. Yeah, Captain America's still supposed to kind of be like a role model.
Right,
It would be good to show him like as a
Alcoholic?
alcoholic kind of. So just having a drink with one bottle next to him makes
The
more
poor Cap
sense.
can't get drunk.
It's just the
Can't be
ritual of it,
sorrow.
I guess,
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be like 18? How old is he supposed to be in this?
Well, I think it ages his mind a little bit. He becomes a little
Right.
more smarter, a little more kind of advanced.
I guess the drinking age was probably 18 back then.
But the thing is, we don't know how long the tour was going on before.
Yeah, what is the time frame between him getting the powers and now?
Because he saved the kid and then he went on tour. And he went on tour for I don't know how long.
Probably a few months, I would guess. I mean,
Maybe a few
I'm going to
months,
say a
maybe.
year and a
I'm going to
half.
say a year to 2 years.
maybe,
yeah.
okay.
It could have been a year. It's still war lasts a while, so
I think they're balls deep into World War
Well, we
II
haven't
right
been
now.
paying attention to the dates on the newsreels and the newspapers and stuff. That might give us a better sense. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Anytime I see action like this chasing in a forest, I'm thinking of Star Wars.
Flamethrower out of the back of the motorcycle. How do we
Well,
not have this in any other MCU movies?
this reminds me more of a James Bond car.
Yeah, this is great.
with all the little gadgets
It does
popping
kind
out
of
of
James
it.
Bondy.
This is great. I love this stuff. There's a lot of good stunt work in this movie. The guys flying off the motorcycles and stuff. Like, there's some good, really good stunt work. This is awesome. I forgot about this.
See, you got all
cap
your
on the
fighting
motorcycle
stuff.
action. This is great. This
Jeez.
is so cool.
Blows up that tank.
Howard Stark put some pretty badass weaponry
He
into
experimented with the
Oh, yeah.
same stuff they were experimenting with.
I wonder what would happen if one of those cosmic cube weapons did strike Captain America. Would he vanish like the other ones did?
Yes.
Can you say it louder
He should. He should.
so the capers can hear you?
I said it loud enough.
This is great. Using the shield. See, he doesn't need guns. Although he was using some guns. In the
Oh yeah, well he
movies,
uses guns, but
here he's
he
just
doesn't use
like
as much.
hand-to-hand combat.
Oh,
I love how it's
And the
okay.
shield.
It's okay to blow things up if you have a missile in your vehicle, but if you physically pull the trigger, you're an asshole.
They got the fire.
Surrounded by flamethrowers.
Well, no, but he was firing this guy.
He's not
This is World
fireproof.
War
He's
II.
probably not fireproof.
It's just like
Yeah.
Batman.
He could probably get
Like,
burned, right?
Yeah, I
Batman
don't
has
think so,
missiles
because he
in his tumbler and in his
He
bat
does
pod.
in the movie, yeah. And that, well, they changed him up a little bit, but I mean, he doesn't use that as much in the comics. But yeah, Captain America, he's always been a weaponry though.
America.
He's a weapon.
I just
technician.
Makes sense. What are you saying, Chad?
I was just like picturing Hugh Jackman, or not Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Grant.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving saying like in his like Agent Smith voice, like Captain America.
Can we please get that? I
Agent
would love to have that.
Although in that movie, in those Matrix movies, he's actually Australian. He was doing an American accent in Matrix. He's doing a German accent.
So weird.
I think he based part of his accent on this awful like Werner Herzog and stuff, the director. He's got a very distinct German accent.
Could Captain America hold his own against Agent Smith?
Yes.
Really? You think so?
That's tough because he's a computer. I mean,
Yeah.
like would he
In the
possess?
Matrix.
But
I'll
if
say yeah,
Captain
but-
America's in the Matrix, does he? He would have to get his mind around. He wouldn't have those physical attributes he has in the real world. He'd have to get his mind around overcoming the computer, like kind of like Neo has to.
Right.
So that's different, you know. I don't know. It's different. It's different. It's
I don't
just
know,
his
maybe-
mind. It's
good
just his
question.
mind.
I can
Da, da,
do
da,
this all day, he
throwback.
says.
I could do this
Getting
all
beat
day.
up by Red Skull because he can.
Schedule.
I'll tell you, the movie really does pick up pace-wise after he gets
Yeah.
Bucky the first time because we're like almost done with the movie now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just about there.
Yeah.
Come the Howling Commandos to save him. Awesome.
They don't die.
Hell no.
Can't kill the Howling Commandos.
Nah.
Except for one. Except for
Which
Bucky.
one? What do you mean, which one?
Except for Bucky.
Because he wasn't an original member.
I love
Who's the
that.
original
I love
one?
that Dum Dum's rocking like a shotgun. Like I don't know if
Bucky.
you. Those were really used that much in World War II action, but like it's badass
It's true.
here in this scene.
Yeah.
Dum Dum.
Dum Dum. Yeah,
Such
it's
a great
Neil.
name.
It's Neil McDonough's
Dum Dum.
character. Yeah. Love it.
He just
They're assaulting the main base. Yeah.
I mean, I will say there is some pretty great action in this movie.
Now this
It-
woods
Yeah.
action reminds me of the beginning. What was it, Age of Ultron, when all the Avengers are like assaulting that base?
Yeah,
Going
exactly.
through the
Yeah.
woods and stuff. It's very similar, like MCU wise.
Yeah, I
just
guess that's
visually, it
similar
reminds
to
me
it.
of that.
was it a Hydra base? No, what was it?
No,
It was.
Yeah, that's where they
Yeah.
find the twins there, right?
Well, yeah. Well, they
Yep,
find the
correct.
twins, but they were actually looking for
Von
the Tesseract.
Strucker,
Von Strucker, yep,
Von
exactly.
Strucker's base.
Yep,
They were looking for the
that's
Tesseract
correct.
that was
Yeah.
taken.
No, they're looking for
Oh, scepter, I'm sorry, the scepter, the
Loki's
scepter.
scepter that
It's
has
a
the
scepter.
Mind Stone in
Sorry.
it. Yeah.
And we still didn't even know what that stuff was. Did we at
Nope.
that time?
I didn't really know.
We knew what the Scepter and the Tesseract were. We did not know that they both contained Infinity Stones at that point. I don't think so. So yeah. Did you guys like
From the
second Avengers movie, which we'll get into later?
Not as much as the other ones.
No, yeah.
yeah, no, I liked it
Yeah.
though. The
I love the character building, but I didn't like the movie as much as I could have. I think, and it's just my perception. But
Yeah,
like
so-
we talked about this earlier, Chris. I'm sorry, I know, but we talked about this earlier. Like I think what happened with the Avengers was because Marvel teased this Avengers movie for years, and we built that anticipation within us, and we got it.
Right.
The second one, there really was no anticipation, but then the third one was the anticipation of Thanos. So I think that's why I didn't like the second one as much, because there was nothing like drawing me towards it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think most people feel like they got the villain not as good as they could have for some reason, but okay.
So,
Were you saying, Chris? I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I didn't. I was saying that we just missed the scene where they reunite Agent Carter and
Oh, for the first time, huh?
yeah, and they were about to kiss, and then she says, "Hey, aren't you about to do something?" So you can see that moment. He was like, "Oh wow!" There was that moment between them, and something. I guess they should have kissed because that's their last moment together.
Oh,
And what is it?
So I guess that's
Yeah.
their own damn fault. He should have made his move right then.
There it
He should have
is.
made his move right then.
Made the
Your own
movie.
damn
2
fault.
chances.
That's why.
not going to see him again until she's
That's
like
why he goes to
90
the future of
90
virgin.
years old. And
Actually, I
Captain
don't know.
America's a virgin for the rest of his life because of you, Peggy.
the Hydra agents are firing they have like laser guns like Star Wars here. They're like, yeah. It's
I think
kinda
that's
crazy.
what kind of like drew me away from this movie a little bit. It was like the Hydra stuff, their guns, and it just feels really cheesy. And
I agree.
unlike
Look at
this car,
It's
Well,
like the
I guess they see each
Batmobile. Look
other
how
again.
long this car is.
Yeah, this is one of his cars. The one.
Yeah.
Wait, now isn't there a moment? Hold on, where Tommy Lee Jones is driving this car, they're chasing Red Skull and his plane down the runway, and they're trying to catch up to him. Now, doesn't he hit
nitrous?
This is like Men in Black, where he's like never hit the red button, and it hits the button, and it like accelerates. It's very maybe a little Men in Black car.
I want that car.
Call back here.
Always a nitrous button.
There you go. See how?
Oh, no,
there
they get the
it
kiss in. They get the
There
kiss
it
in.
is.
Yeah.
And he went in for it. He went 100%. It wasn't 90-10 like in Hitch.
You went over any girl's heart. You have a picture of her in your little locket, your little compass. There you go. There you go.
I should get a picture of my girlfriend in my
I
locket.
think that's what sealed the deal for Peggy right there.
Lucky
Now we just have pictures of our girlfriends
She
on our
listened to
phones.
me.
I need a locket.
As the background, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of us do.
This is where it felt very comic booky to me. And this is kind of where I tuned out, I think.
He didn't.
You
You should have done the
thought- you tuned
golden
out
eye
because
where he
it was
just,
comic
he just
book
went
before a comic
straight
book
off
movie?
the edge.
Like with the car and the CGI and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's like you give me Dark Knight, you give me Iron Man, like my expectations suddenly changed. And then I got Captain America and it just felt like the
This
same
was
old
not
thing.
this was not as rooted in realism as some of those. It was, but I kind of like
Right,
I like
yeah.
the comic book sensibility of this. You know,
Yeah.
it's very comic booky, which is great.
God, can you imagine what the babies would have been like for Peggy Carter and Cap?
Yeah.
Holy
We'll
shit.
never know. We'll never
know.
Awesome babies.
No.
Super Soldier Kids.
Soldier Kid. Oh,
Yeah.
Soldier Kids.
Wait,
I
does
love
he
that.
pass? Would
Oh.
he pass along the super strength and
Ooh.
stuff?
I think he
don't know.
would.
You
I think he would pass along the gene.
Well, we don't know. I don't know.
Ooh, this is very like...
Wow, Hydra
Atomic bomb is-
Hydra very conveniently labeled the bomb with the city that it would be hitting, New York. So now he knows. He knows.
But
So-
the thing is, they would do that. They would actually label and put artwork on the bombs.
oh, that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
but it's kind of funny when you think about it. All the technology they have, all the advanced weaponry, and yet they don't have like a GPS guiding system. Like they want to put all the names. I mean, I'm sure they do, but still, it's like they put the names on.
You had to have
it.
satellites in space. They didn't have satellites.
Yeah.
Oh, Chicago. There's Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Did the word kibosh come from
The
Chicago?
kibosh? I don't know. Wait, they just let that bomb out. How do they know where that thing's gonna land?
Well, if they're right now, it's still in Germany. They're over the water.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's why.
They're over some mountains.
That's why he's letting them out
Sucks
now.
for that guy.
There we go. There.
Oh, this one's getting launched.
I like these bombs have
Just
like
want that-
pilots. You can like pilot these bombs,
Yeah,
which is kind of
cool.
interesting.
This is where he loses his shield.
So this is very reminiscent of the Hulk being on the airplane in
Yeah.
Avengers.
This is actually pretty. I like that you can fly. The bomb itself is like a little plane. This is actually this is a really cool effect.
It's a pretty
the
cool
big,
plane,
the
to be
big
honest.
propeller.
So
Yeah.
there's the kamikaze guy going.
Pretty
So
much.
he's dead.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, into the propeller.
into
Oh,
the propeller. So
that,
good.
there's a Raiders of the Lost Ark little thing. That was actually pretty graphic. You actually saw that guy just. Raiders of the Lost Ark happens off screen, and you just see the splatter. This, you literally saw the guy just disappear.
That felt pretty legitimate.
into
I feel like that's how it
yeah.
felt.
It was just
Yeah.
you turn into a bunch of mist instantly.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
but see,
some body
he
work
pulled the
like that.
ejector seat on this guy, so the seat flew out. So
Yeah.
right now the guy's what is Captain America sitting on?
They may be pushing the PG-13
There's
a
no
little
seat.
bit.
There's no seat. He's just sitting on
Yeah.
a bunch of bolts.
That's true. That's true. It must be uncomfortable on the ass, but you know he can handle it.
He's got,
He's got cheeks of steel.
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
got
what I mean?
capped ass. He can handle it.
He's got some muscular glutes.
I like the I feel like they're melding together like futuristic stuff
Whoa.
with very like old school designs. You know, this feels like
Yes.
these could be
He just
planes.
kamikaze this thing back into the plane. How do you know this is a nuclear bomb? Right? How do you know that wasn't going to explode as soon as he
Oh, he
crashed it
didn't
back
know.
into the hangar?
He
was
didn't
ready.
know.
He was ready for it. Now,
But he knew it would take out
Cap
the
has
plane.
had a lot of
so.
issues of trying to stop aircraft from taking off, like in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
a
oh
good
my
point.
god, he says it's just like this is his theme, just, being high up in the air and trying to bring these ships down.
Where are they right now? Are they like in the stratosphere?
They look pretty
No,
high
no,
above
well,
the
no,
earth
they're
right
right
now.
above the
Pretty high
clouds, but
Oh yeah, Captain.
Oh, you Captain, you
I
don't
love
give up.
that accent. It's so funny.
Oh, that's great. Here we get some Red Skull on
yeah,
Captain
some full-on
one-on-one,
fight.
hand-to-hand action.
I
This
mean,
is
you really
great.
can't get any better. Like that is the ultimate baddie for Captain America, Red Skull. I mean,
Yeah.
it
This is
really
like Batman fighting the Joker. It's like
It is. It's
yeah,
up
Yeah.
there.
great.
It's definitely up there.
I wonder if in the future Avenger we'll ever have Cap find out that Red Skull's still
Oh,
around.
wow.
But
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe
Find
not.
out.
Is he
Probably
still
not.
around
See.
though?
Well, in
He's on
Avengers
some different
Infinity War, yeah, he
realm.
is.
Yeah. He's on a
Cap's not
planet.
going anywhere.
No, that's right.
Cap's not leaving Earth.
No, he's not. No, he ain't.
We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, that's why I like Cap so much. We don't want to leave Earth.
It's only, yeah. 'Cause I'm gonna stay grounded.
Yeah.
Right, see, Martin, they were up into the stratosphere, now they're plummeting back down to Earth, so no
better.
space in this one.
Christ is averted.
Martin was getting nervous when he could see the edge of space outside the window of the plane. He's getting a little nervous there. Making him uncomfortable. He was sweating. I don't want to see the blackness of space.
I just think of every day working at JPL. Like, what is this stuff around me?
Just, oh my god! See, I love the possibilities of space.
It's
exciting.
You guys are warming me up to it again.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is kind of exciting.
I don't need to go there, but I like to see it portrayed.
Wait, go where?
Into space. I don't need to.
When I was a little kid, I wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean, every little kid.
Every kid wants to be an astronaut at some point, you know.
So of course we don't know what's happened. I don't think anyone really knew what happened in this scene when Red Skull touches the cosmic cube and he gets transported off.
No, it's just because Cap just shot it that it's all activating and.
It got knocked out because it was inside that thing.
Yeah, it's a power source that activates itself. It essentially has a mind of its own, even though it's not the Mind Stone, but still.
Oh, yeah, opens up. This is actually cool.
Space.
Yeah.
So this is where he goes.
Yeah,
this is where he goes to Bjornmir, or wherever the fuck they.
Where the soul to become the keeper of the Soul Stone.
Yep. We don't know that until later on. But...
7 years, literally 7 years after this, until we knew what happened to him, which is great.
I mean, I assume that there was a possibility he was still alive and that he was just transferred somewhere, because that's how it kind of does look.
Actually, this is like the Thor effect of being beamed across the galaxy, right?
It does have
on the Bifrost.
But,
maybe that's another reason why. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's okay.
Maybe that's the reason why I don't. Where it took me out of it, because it gets so grandiose here. And
it does.
Oh, the Tesseract just fell into the ocean.
But I think that's what they were leading to for the next series. I mean,
the whole point. The whole thing is supposed to be grandiose.
So, yeah.
You build.
Yeah. But I get that, Martino.
No, I don't. It's a superhero movie. You want to be chill?
Yeah.
You want to be chill?
I want Batman to beat up the cops. That's it.
Batman.
I want him to fight the Joker. That's it.
This is like Bruce Wayne flying the nuke out at the end of Dark Knight Rises, right?
Mm-hmm. Does that feel
Captain America?
By the way, yes, Chad.
Also,
go ahead.
Also, Avengers.
Tony Stark bringing the nuke out. Yeah, for sure.
Chad pointed out that the cosmic cube fell through, which was weird. It doesn't
burn through everything.
Yeah,
just a weird way. Just a way to get it out of the airplane.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get that, but anyway, it did, and. Yeah, so now it's set up for...
Now it shows Howard Stark finding it at the end of this movie, right?
Correct.
I think we're going to see.
In the post...
Somehow, they must have tracked the energy. Oh, this is the goodbye. This is the last time they talk for 70-something years. I'm so happy that Peggy was still alive. Yeah. Where they could actually reunite after. And Bucky, the people he's closest to, he still gets to see after he's been frozen in ice for 70 years. How about that?
This is him jumping on the grenade. Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not a fake... Not a fake grenade. This is real. This is not a simulated plane. This is going down.
This is what the doctor wanted. He tested him, or who tested him?
The doctor.
Gonna need a rain check on that dance. Oh my god, it's so sad.
Oh,
so sad.
They cut it out right as he's midpoint in a conversation with her.
That's the best part too.
It's horrible.
That's like when what's your name dies in The Dark Knight. It's mid sentence just blows up. It's so good.
Well, that's in real life. You might not get a chance to finish your sentence when something like that happens.
I just want to put out the obvious: break the glass, jump out right now. You're good.
He would probably survive. Just put the shield.
No, he 100% would survive. Yeah, he didn't need to do this. It's going down regardless.
I don't know. I just feel more emotionally connected to these characters than anybody else in the MCU. I don't know. I just do. Here? No, Peggy and Steve and Bucky. Like I've said, it's just it's real to me. It's just.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Well, this origin story was great. I think that's why we love a lot of us love the beginning of this so much, because we get to see him come from that little skinny, Chad-looking guy to who he is now.
Now, Steve. Now there was a nuke, and now the nuke never goes off, right?
Well, it was never activated.
But so when they find the ship in modern day, they have to be careful, because current day they still find a lot of. Not nuclear bombs. They find a lot of unexploded ordnance in Europe and London and stuff like that from World War II that they need to be really careful about, just in case it explodes. So
that's funny that you bring that up. When I worked at A. Smith & Co. Productions, a show that I actually was trying to work on, and I had reached out to the company that was doing it. There was a massive organization abroad that I can't remember the name of it or what it was called that they do, but they look for old ordnance from wars.
There's a lot out there.
I wanted to pitch a docu-series on it because it actually was very
interesting. And actually, like landmines, obviously, in Africa and a lot of other places.
Yep.
There actually has, I think the U.S. military has lost a nuke or two. I think a plane went down in the 60s, I believe, off the coast of, like, South Carolina or North Carolina. They actually have never recovered it. Really? So there's, like, a nuclear bomb in the ocean off the coast of the Carolinas somewhere.
People in war-torn third world countries, people still die from that kind of stuff.
It's sad. Really? But, so I don't know. Hopefully they're taking proper precautions when they find... Well, how do they... Do we find out how they actually find the shipwreck with him in it?
I'm pretty sure he tracks the cosmic cube.
Now we're seeing...
Well, they found the cube.
We're seeing Howard, which was probably only a few months or years later, them finding the cosmic cube, but no sign of Steve.
Right, but because the cube fell out before the crash.
They weren't looking for Steve. They just want that cube.
They just want the cube, man.
No, I think Howard's thinking of him.
That was his favorite, right? He
just keep looking,
But you don't really see that many interactions between Howard and Steve here. You know, like, why does Howard love Steve so much?
Well, because he was part of... He knows he helped create it. It's like maybe one of his greatest creations.
He's kind of like his daddy. Well, I mean, like, the conversation, like, the amount of, I guess, jealousy that Tony Stark holds over Cap, you would have thought that Cap and his dad were, like,
but also
friends and, like, hanging out all the time.
I had no idea the future of the Stark, Captain America, Steve Rogers relationship going forward in Civil War with, like, it all comes full circle with, like, the Starks and Bucky and Stark's parents and Howard. Who knew Howard didn't know he was going to get killed by Bucky as a result of the serum and all this future stuff. I don't know, just all...
Everything ties in.
And you'll see this, because when they do actually meet for the first time in Avengers... Yeah, Howard talks about
his dad.
He talks about how his dad never stopped talking about Captain America, and he was always like a little annoyed with Captain America, and it kind of like started their relationship when they were butting heads. It's because he was annoyed because that's what his father would talk about. His father would talk about Captain America to the point where he's sick of it.
Oh no, that's true. I do remember that. So that probably fed into it.
So that actually fed into it.
Because doesn't he make a comment at one point like? Something about his father over talking about it.
Oh yeah, no, that's what he said. He goes,
that's
all I would hear from my father.
This is great. Him waking up, not knowing where he is. We don't really know what's going on at this point.
Yeah,
this is great. It's like they made it.
Well, they make him think like he's still in the 1940s.
Well, not to shock him.
He's not.
Although, and then he just runs out. He runs out into modern Times Square. It's like, oh well, we didn't need to spend all this time and money recreating a 1940s hospital room, apparently.
And then in Avengers, they actually do the same scene. I'm pretty sure in over again. I think we see it twice.
No, just the scene when he's boxing. Only the scene where he's boxing.
The next scene,
Are you sure? I swear
not this one.
Post scene credit, and we get this scene again.
I don't think. No, we
don't get this scene again.
We don't see this scene again.
Where's Peggy?
This poor woman is like, recovery room.
This is something wrong.
Hydra wouldn't have gotten this wrong. They would have known.
Yes, that is true.
He's suspicious.
He's so smart.
Suspicious. He knows that. See, I love him. He's a big baseball fan. This is great.
I was there, yeah.
Maybe this is why I connect with Cap too. I'm a big baseball fan.
Well, he knows the Yankees are the best team in the league. So.
No, I think he's Brooklyn. Isn't he a Brooklyn Dodgers fan? He's from Brooklyn.
She looks very Scarlett Johansson-ish.
A fake set. They spent all this time.
That should have been Sharon Carter.
Yeah, they hadn't cast her yet in that role.
Well, we get it later on anyway. So.
Busting out.
Who? Haven't casted
in New York. Here we go. This
must be so
foreign.
Again?
This must be so foreign to him.
I know. Yeah, reminiscent of the early moments.
I think they actually filmed this in Times Square too.
Talk about the coordination to put this all together too.
That's hard to film in Times Square. Not a lot of movies have gotten to do that. Birdman and Vanilla Sky. Here we go. There we get Sam Jackson, Nick Fury, tying it all together. It's great. Sorry about that little show back there.
He perfectly does inject his Samuel L. Jackson into that role.
I see some Corona, Planet Hollywood, Dunkin' Donuts. There's a lot of real ads in there.
But they're kind of like, resolution-wise, not in great focus.
Been
but
asleep for 7 years.
Phantom of the Opera.
This is great. Yeah. Break it to you slowly and then dump into the most like commercial crazy spot in the entire United States. Maybe
it's very sad to me, this scene. It really is.
It is. I mean, he's thinking right now like about Peggy probably. Like like
I had a date.
I had a date. That's such a sad ending. That's such a sad ending to this movie. Oh my god! I had a date and that sad looking ending. Oh my god, that's so tragic.
Yeah. So you can't actually see her on screen. Wow. But the great Maggie Ramsey is 1 feet behind us. First cameo.
Former Caper. Future Caper of the Week, possibly.
Yeah.
Here we go. I love the credit scene as all these kind of propaganda kind of stuff and.
He got a lot of credit. He was executive producer on a lot of the early movies, right?
Man, that was a real sad. Like, do you even learn does he learn in Avengers that Peggy's still around? Which is the next movie after this?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's
He doesn't interact with her again, as far as I can retell, until Winter. Doesn't he?
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
He goes to see her. Yeah.
Right.
She's in a nursing home or something at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I don't think they talk about her actually. Do they talk about her in Avengers?
I don't know.
They actually might.
They must.
No, I don't think he does. I don't think they do at all. We don't see her in that. I know that for sure.
We'll have to rewatch it and find out.
God, I'm so weird.
We'll have to do Adventures. We'll have to do Adventures soon. We'll have to do the Adventures soon.
We should.
Say it one more time, Chris.
Say it one more time.
Oh, maybe we'll do Avengers next. Who knows?
This is a really good. It's a good movie. I mean, maybe It feels a little more old fashioned comic booky than what's to come in the MCU, but like it's really is one of the it's one of the best origin movies they've done for this.
Where would you put it on the list of origin movies of all time?
Dominic
That's
Cooper.
Cool. I don't know. Just seeing his transformation. It's so I don't know. It's up there.
I'd say it's still behind Man of Steel.
Oh, don't get me started on Man of Steel. I'll take the 78 Superman as a great origin movie.
Yeah.
But, I forgot Richard Armitage was in this, too. He was one of the Hydra guys. Or he went on to be in, the Hobbit movies and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I love this artwork they created, this really retro kind of propaganda World War II artwork for this, for the credit sequence is really well done here.
You know what? Maybe I was thinking when I saw this, maybe I had too much Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow in my head.
Also very Sky Captain, yeah.
That's why.
A lot of people forget about that movie. That was kind of like a retro, like a futuristic retro movie, all done, a lot of green screen stuff.
Yeah.
We do have an end credit scene here, so we will watch the credits.
Did it.
It's so good.
And
here we get the Captain America theme song again. Captain America. So good.
I'll be right back.
Very good. So fun. It's fun. It's fun to revisit this one. So anything more from a Thought Junkie perspective, Thought Junkie?
As I think about it.
Yeah, Hydra Lieutenant was played by Peter Stark. No relation to an Amy Stark.
Who knows?
A lot of stunts. There were good stunts. Looking at the stunt team there was a lot of good stunts. People flying off motorcycles and a lot of war action, hand-to-hand combat.
That's definitely one of the places where I agree. I think the movie excels. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it looks pretty legit. So
they still had to do a lot of visual effects and stuff for this, but there's a lot of practical. Flamethrowers always look awesome. Those are a lot of practical flames and explosions in this.
Now what I'm thinking about is what Chris said about the tones, like the color tones at the very beginning. Like I want to see. I just remember like the Winter Soldier just being so much more darker, but it was blue tones.
Yeah. Well, that is something that you have to do for every movie. When you go through post-production, you do color correction, and they used to do that physically with the film and the way you develop it, but now it's all done digitally, where you want a color color timing to have a consistent color look throughout the whole movie. And a lot of with these period pieces, you want that muted color, because I think a modern bright movie might not look, because you're used to seeing these eras portrayed in a certain way in movies.
This is more like what, browns kind of?
Yeah, a little more muted in this World War II.
Like a lot of earthy tones.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think it was a little different when you were in the modern scenes. You maybe have a slightly different color palette there.
And then, so yeah, a lot more bluish in Winter Soldier. But then I don't know, like, I'm thinking about Civil War, and I don't know if I can put a color palette.
Well, that they
on
could
my
match
head.
more with, like, the modern Avengers movies and stuff like that, but they take place in current times, you know. But,
All right, so let's do some check-offs, like, check some stuff off our list. Was there Asian Reporter? No.
I don't think so.
Ground
Lamp?
Wet?
Green Lamp?
There might have been a wet ground somewhere in this.
We saw a green light at one point, I feel.
Green
like.
lamp,
green light
Green lamp, maybe.
that came out of the window.
Was there any bubbling green?
There was a green light,
ooze?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
When they were
sure.
experimenting
Not sure.
on when they were experimenting.
But like I said, the cinematographer
Bucky.
for this shot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2: The Secret of the Ooze. So
Yeah.
He shot this.
the same cinematographer, yes.
Oh, gotcha.
He shot this movie. Also Jurassic Park 3 with Joe Johnston, which was 10 years before this. So yeah,
It's crazy to think, like, Jurassic Park 3 wasn't necessarily that well received, but
No.
that doesn't mean your life and career as a director is going to end.
Right.
Just because your film wasn't received. Like, to go on and do this, that's...
I mean, look what happened with M. Night Shyamalan.
Well,
He had quite a few not great box office issues,
That's
but,
true.
but they
That's
still.
true.
But he's now back in the fray.
but he had to do a lot of work in order to get himself back. He had to fund a lot of...
Yeah, I would say with M. Night Shyamalan. I can never pronounce his name right.
Shyamalan.
Shamalama Ding Dong.
Well, he
Devil,
Uh-huh.
maybe. Because that actually, even though he didn't direct it, he produced it. I remember really enjoying that movie. And
I liked it a lot,
maybe he's
too.
getting back into it. Huh?
Well, then he did... I mean, I liked it a lot, too. I think it was
Yeah.
The Visit.
Yeah.
I think The
Wait,
Visit
how did we get on
brought him back
Shyamalan all of a sudden?
We were talking about how
The
directors...
Visit, that was
Oh.
older. That was like when his movies weren't doing
Not
that well.
yet.
Nope, that was 2015.
Yeah.
The Visit? What
The
was
Visit?
that?
That was the one with the grandkids go to stay with the grandparents.
The found footage one.
Oh, I
footage
love
one.
that movie. He directed
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
I did not
They
know
didn't
that.
advertise him as a
Shit.
director.
That was the
doing it
first
like
new
before.
Shyamalan movie I'd
I
watched
did not realize
since
he did
like
that. Okay,
since
but
It's the
I
first,
agree 100%
his first
with you.
Blumhouse movie.
Last
Oh,
Airbender.
gotcha.
It's first the one.
He
he
liked
While we're on
did.
the subject of Shyamalan,
Fucking
we want to
Blumhouse,
remind
man.
Capers that Martin saw After Earth 11 times in the theaters.
In the
That's
theaters.
11 times in the theaters.
1-1.
There, so
But Will
One.
Smith, like we said, almost considered for Captain America maybe for this one. So
And while we're
Would've
watching a
been
Marvel
weird.
movie, let's point out that Chad has never watched the X-Men animated series.
no,
Thank you.
he's
No.
never watched it.
Thank
was
you.
there ever a
So-
Captain America animation?
No,
at
no.
all?
He was
Did
in...
he ever pop up in animation?
Well, there's
He was in the
Avengers.
Avengers animated
Yes.
series. But,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he didn't have
Okay.
his own, I
It's
don't
multiple-
think.
So Captain America
Adventures.
they were the first Avenger to have a movie, right? Captain America was the first Avenger to have a movie long time ago.
What do you mean?
Like,
in the 40s when
Right.
they did
He's the first one to have a
serials.
movie.
Oh, you
yeah.
mean the timeline in this movie,
Oh.
or you mean in general?
Oh,
No,
you
I
just
think
general,
you're right
in
because
real
he
life.
first
Oh.
popped up in like
Oh.
1941 in like a theatrical
so.
serial.
Oh,
like,
got you.
like
Oh,
SERIAL.
well, yeah, all the other Avengers didn't come until the 60s,
Right.
so yes.
Right.
He
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
been...
So okay, so he is the first Avenger. Yeah.
Technically, yes, that is
Yes.
kind of...
That's
which makes
that's
sense
true.
because
Okay.
at the time
He's not, but he is. It's a weird way to look at it.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the name Captain America. Like they actually, when Paramount released this movie in 2011, they had to consider. These are big international movies that you want to launch. How would that name play overseas? Captain America. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah.
and so they actually gave distributors overseas a choice if they wanted to just call. If they wanted to just
Captain
call it the
Canada?
first Avenger, just that, or Captain America. And most overseas territories actually did choose to use the full title because
Wow.
people have heard of Captain America. It's more recognition,
Right.
stuff like that. There was only a few countries, like Russia, maybe one, a few other ones who chose to not use Captain America because America's perceived in different ways across the world.
Let's
so.
think of all the places where
Yeah.
they wouldn't have done Captain America. Russia, China,
Well, I don't know. I'm not. I'd
North
have to look
Korea,
up.
Venezuela. Who hates us?
Well, no, it wasn't that many. It wasn't that many, but.
Which is why in Man of Steel they toned down his suit. Captain America, or not Captain America.
Right,
sorry.
muted
They
colors.
didn't make
Yeah.
it the usual very red and like.
Captain
brown.
That's like all Zack Snyder movies are.
That's true. That is
Captain
kind of
America will
Zack Snyder.
return in the Avengers, which we'd get, 10 months.
He goes,
after
"Hey,
this.
here's proof. It will."
Was that the first cameo of the
New
Avengers
scene.
saying that?
No, they may have said that in
No, that's
Thor,
the first
so-
time.
Okay, I see what you guys are
Here's-
saying now. You're right. It's the boxing scene that they do
Yes,
again, right?
the
Okay.
boxing scene post credits. You do see this in the Avengers
Right.
also. So.
Is there anything different about the cameo compared to when it's in the movie or no?
I think it's this. They may edit it a little bit. I'm not sure. This may have been directed by Joss Whedon during the production of the Avengers. I'm not 100% sure, but
And when my pecs get big and huge and I have a chest, I'm gonna be him as a.
let's see. Oh, that was quick. Oh,
that was
no,
real
it goes
quick.
into.
That's a
I forgot. It
full-on
goes into an actual trailer for the Avengers. next summer.
Shit, I didn't realize
Whoa! You don't see this very often
You
as
don't
part
see
of an
this at all,
action.
yeah.
And Back to the Future 2 ends with a trailer for
This
Back to the
must-
Future 3. 'cause
I-
they
Well,
already
yeah,
filmed
they
it.
shot- at
This
the
must
same
have got
time.
everybody so stupidly excited. I couldn't even remember it though.
Yeah, we had to wait
yeah.
10
Okay.
months, but they'd already. This is such a big movie. Obviously, they'd
Yeah.
already filmed it. Oh, this is cool. I forgot that you saw an actual. How many? Not a lot of
That's
movies
pretty
do that. You
awesome.
see an actual
Yeah.
trailer afterwards.
Dude,
You gotta mean sweet.
this is actually feeling
May
dated,
2012.
though.
Well, May 2012. Yeah, that
Those
was.
cuts actually made it feel dated. I've never felt something in Marvel was dated, you know?
That's funny.
Yeah,
Except
they
like
could
the
have done it.
fast
They could have
cuts
done it a
and-
little more subtle, but
Oh no,
That
they were,
was
but
exciting.
no, but when this came out though, that got you
dude,
excited.
you got
You're
people pumped up. That's why
Yeah.
Avengers opened to the biggest opening weekend of all time at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like first movie to gross over 200 million in its opening weekend, and
And that's just a tease.
Too
So
late.
great.
I think.
Cool.
Right?
we're still a year out.
That's the movie, guys. That's a good one. That's a great one
That's
to
America.
revisit.
Oh, such a good
I'm
one.
excited to watch the future adventures of Cap as we get into those sequels and everything else, which are great. But
Do you guys think maybe someday I'll own a complete Captain America comic?
someday, Ryan, someday you will. You will complete that dream. So
So we have one more film, and then we are done with season 1.
that's it. We are gonna
Guys.
end. We are gonna.
Who
Well,
would have
we'll
thunk?
see.
Who would have thunk?
Finish off phase 1, maybe of the MCU. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
Just to wait and
it is.
see, guys. Very
now.
cool. That was a fun one. So.
All
All right.
Gotta get
All
one
right.
clap
So
up.
next
yeah,
time,
let's do
Capers, thanks for
That's America. Thanks for listening.
sticking with us, and we'll see you for the next one. All right.
Capers out.
Capers
Peace
out.
out, Capers.
See you guys
Goodbye.
next time.